Part 47. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 463. This different monster is the Zerg leader. He is also the highest commander of the Zerg army on the Gray-Yellow Star, and his body is so powerful that he is not inferior to Jia Yan's terrifying giant mosquito body at all. It is more than 30 meters long, looks like a moth, and has a seemingly light body, but the power it contains is absolutely frightening. At this time, after this giant moth monster heard the restlessness of the biochemical empire not far away, its compound eyes composed of countless small single eyes had an extraordinary luster and shone slightly. Not long after, a virtual light screen also appeared in front of the monster. Within the light screen, what appeared was the figure of the mosquito fighting fiercely with the Asta space battleship. Originally, this monster was not too moved when he saw the fighting power of the big mosquito. But at a certain moment, the sparkle in the compound eyes of this huge flying monster suddenly became extremely intense. What made his expression change was the moment when the giant mosquito's body turned completely blue. The giant moth suddenly gained a dignified look, and began to stare at the scenery on the screen with its compound eyes gleaming. It wasn't until the Asta warship crashed and the scene of the giant mosquito leaving appeared on the screen, and the camera where it was located became unable to see any clear scene due to the devouring of the flames, that the sparkle in his compound eyes gradually changed. Gotta dim it down. However, regarding what he had seen and heard before, this giant moth was no longer calm at all. Perhaps after some thought, the giant moth finally turned towards the biochemical empire's military camp. The Zerg commander, who has always paid no attention to worldly affairs and only advanced and retreated with the biochemical empire's army, actually entered the biochemical empire's barracks for the first time. If this scene was known to other civilizations, it would definitely be a huge news. Unfortunately, in this too major there cannot be spies from other civilizations in the Empire's military camps. And what kind of conversation they had between them decided what happened. Destined to be a secret. At this point, the three warring empires in the Shoals galaxy have all paid varying degrees of attention to the Earth City, or to the Lord Assassin. Needless to say, the people of Osto must be hostile to the biochemical empire, at least for now. Although Jia Yan had fought with white life forms in the past, he is still friendly now. As for the most mysterious Zerg, no one knows what they think. The Zerg have always been the mysterious people in this vast star field. They have stirred up troubles in this star field time and time again, but no one still knows what they think. Regarding this mysterious, it is an incomparable interstellar force that all civilizations know very little about. It's still unclear what they think about Jia Yan. This is the view of the major warring countries on the Great Mosquito, as for the other major forces, as well as those starry sky civilizations who have also stationed their troops and covet the interests of the Gray and Yellow Star, most of them maintain the idea of seeing this matter as a joke to the Asta people. Earth City is really famous. Even the Golden Desert, which was originally in the dark corner of the Gray-Yellow Star and had been forgotten by most life forms, was now exposed to a large amount of its history and past. And some inner things have been almost stripped away, as if this huge inhabited planet, all intelligent life has focused their attention here. Jin Mo is famous, but this does not mean that the big and small forces in Jin Mo will be happy. Because the Earth City that became famous on the Gray-Yellow Star did not fall silent after being turned into scorched earth. They actually got even crazier. Yes, after some consultations between Earth City's terrifying assassin, the rumored starry sky-level powerhouse, and Earth City's #1 intelligent brain Daphne, the size of his body has been greatly reduced. The powerful Earth City has actually become more radical. One Earth City convoy. Under the leadership of the strong man, the troops were divided into more than 10 groups and attacked in all directions. That's right. This is part of the so-called decision between Jia Yan and De Funi. They seem to be seeking death and continue to develop and expand their power. All the big and small Golden Desert forces, no matter how big they are all patronized by Earth City at this moment. This kind of patronage is different from the previous expansion that Earth City had scruples about. This time they are really crazy. Those who have supplies grab supplies, those who don't have supplies grab money, and there is no money. It's so good, and the population is also within the hunting range of Earth City. Some extremely powerful Golden Desert forces, because there are more or less some big gray star forces behind them, or the background of major civilizations, so at this moment they are resisting desperately, even throwing away the existence behind them, hoping that the Earth City side will have some scruples. However, the leaders of these forces discovered that the Earth City army did not care about so many people at all. Their behavior was too radical, and wherever they dared to resist, they simply implemented a strategy of clearing and killing. Yes, it is massacre. The strong men of Earth City, after being attacked by the vigilantes, their mentality of relying on Earth City has become more stable, and their strength has been improved to a certain extent. In addition, with a starry sky level as their support, they can explode at this time. The strength is at least 20 to 30% higher than before. On the other hand, those resisting forces have long since become fearful of war after learning that Earth City can actually resist the Gray-Yellow Star Sheriff Alliance, and even has a starry sky-level powerhouse who can destroy the Asta space battleship, so the original combat effectiveness will also be reduced to the lowest point. So much so that even the detachment teams of Earth City, whose strength was severely damaged, were winning consecutive battles at this moment. Even the big Mosquito sitting in the center often flies out of Guangzhou without hesitation after his subordinates encounter difficult targets, and rushes to the battlefield with his super speed that exceeds 50 times the speed of sound. Those forces that dare to resist fiercely will be swept away without mercy. Such an appearance of the Earth Army even made those forces in the Golden Desert feel that the Earth City was not getting weaker, but becoming stronger. Finally, after many battles, almost 99% of Jinmo's forces completely gave up resistance. Wherever the Earth Army went, a white flag was raised, and all major convoys and forces surrendered. Some media reporters from the 6 major cities were stunned at this moment and did not forget to publish what they saw and heard in the Golden Desert to the news media. With the tracking of these reporters, the Earth City was almost on the verge of achieving unification. The superpower that controlled the Golden Desert finally conquered almost all the residents of the Gray Star. Everyone knows its existence. Attention, viewers. This is a Frontline report brought to you by a reporter from the 5th City Frontline War Report. As shown in the picture, the Earth Army is attacking 2 forces located on the outskirts of the Golden Desert. As far as this newspaper knows, the 2 forces are where the 2 research institutes under the jurisdiction of our 5th City are located. They cost the 5th City no less than 50 billion in funds. The attack on Earth City was hasty, and the 2 research institutes had no time to transfer countless materials. Our 5th City suffered losses great. Here, on behalf of the interests of the residents of 5th City, this newspaper launches a stern condemnation of Earth City. A very fashionable Osto woman gave her report to the camera in a very secluded gray-yellow forest amidst the sounds of war. Not far away is a battle group, because the madness in Earth City lasts only 1 day, which is almost 4 days on Earth. Earth City pushed its army to the edge of the Golden Desert. The 5th City, not far from Jinmo, is the place that is most concerned about this matter. Of course, although the Sheriff's Alliance has been defeated, no one will believe that this Earth City dares to extend its hand to the 5th City. After all, the 5th City is a warring country and other starry sky civilizations. If you dare to touch the ordinary people's settlement set up in the Gray-Yellow Star, not to mention the Earth City, even the Asta Empire may be unable to bear it. People in the 5th City just don't want to lose too much of their own interests. Because it is not far from Jinmo, in fact, the interests of many life forms in the 5th City are tied to Jinmo. Earth City's crazy behavior has seriously affected their lives and interests. While the beautiful reporter was hiding in the dark and continuing her impassioned speech, Suddenly there was an earth-shattering sound from the institute in the distance. The camera lens zoomed in quickly. The cameras of this starry sky civilization are not simple things on the Earth. Their functions are extremely good. In an instant, the picture is stably fixed on the battlefield a few kilometers away, and the lens is zoomed into an extremely close distance. Boom 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 boom. The picture over there was transmitted, but it made the female reporter on the live broadcast scream repeatedly. It turned out that in the picture, a huge flying monster came to this difficult-to-conquer research institute. At this moment, he stood up and faced the countless research institute artillery fire, and fired electric shots at the research institute base. Then, with a flash, the main energy supply unit of the institute was destroyed. A moment later, most of the artillery fire stopped roaring. Everyone, please look, that is the rumored supreme leader of Earth City, and he is also a rumored starry sky level existence. Look at his attack. This attack is so terrifying. Our city on the 5th spent a lot of money to build the defense facilities of the research institute, unexpectedly unable to block one of his attacks. There is still a lot of controversy in our city number 5 as to whether this monster is a star-level monster, but after seeing this picture, everyone should be less controversial. This monster is so terrifying. In just a moment, the research institute has completely collapsed. It's so terrifying. When the beautiful reporter was reporting, she had forgotten her own position, and in a daze she expressed her fear of the huge giant mosquito flying in the sky. And her sense of fear, through the lens, was conveyed to countless life forms in city number 5. Those residents were not ignorant. In this warring planet, regarding the starry sky level terror, they compared it with the peace in those stable planets. City dwellers no more. So when they saw the flying monster that destroyed the defense of the institute in a few flashes in the flames of the battle, they immediately understood how terrifying this monster was. As for whether it is a starry sky level, this matter is weighed in the heart of every living being. Ah! It exploded. Just when the beautiful reporter was gushing about her opinions on the war not far away, one of the two mysterious research institutes in city number 5 that relied on each other emitted a sky-high explosion of fire. Almost instantly, the shock wave caused by the explosion reached the woods a few kilometers away. The tall gray-yellow trees could not withstand the impact of the shock wave. The beautiful reporter, cameraman, and others immediately let out miserable howls. Yelling, everyone was swept up by the shock wave, their lives hanging by a thread. The live broadcast screen also lost signal in an instant. As for whether these people were alive or dead, it was unknown. Not far away, the giant mosquitoes that had just attacked the two research institutes were not even noticed at this time. A few kilometers away, there were actually some ordinary alien beings taking pictures of them. He just complied with Defuni's request and provided strong support when the Earth Army's attack on the Jin Desert was blocked. These two research institutes, the former Earth City, are also expanding crazily. But because Defuni understood that this belonged to city number 5, she did not touch them. But now it's completely broken. And it's related to their determination, so it can naturally be attacked. The small group of Earth troops before could not wipe out this place. After all, it was a formal official organization and not something that ordinary Earth City strongmen could break into. In order to prevent the Earth Army from suffering huge losses, Jia Yan was dispatched again. In the light of the sky, the big mosquito rolled around in the air in a slightly embarrassed manner, and the blue on the surface of its body showed a trace. This research institute is quite interesting, it actually died in an explosion. Jia Yan looked at the research institute below. A huge explosion crater appeared there, and the walls of several buildings were completely destroyed. All the researchers and guards inside who had no time to escape were also killed. Even some of the strong attackers in Earth City were seriously injured in the explosion. However, war will kill people. This is something that alien life forms cannot get rid of. We have seen many similar things. Jia Yan only felt a little sorry for these strong men who had become loyal, but he didn't feel too sad. Suddenly, a reflective object appeared a few kilometers away, which aroused doubts in the big Mosquito. He looked at the gray-yellow woods a few kilometers away, where some trees had fallen due to the impact of the shock wave. The strong ones are all hundreds of meters high. That reflection appeared from one of the 100-meter giant trees. But when Jia Yan looked, the reflection had disappeared. I'm just paranoid. The big Mosquito shook his head indifferently, and then his wings flickered. The huge body flew up and continued to move quickly towards the Earth City. As a person who goes around putting out fires, he is very busy. He wants to return to Earth City. Because it has relatively complete communication capabilities there, if there is a danger somewhere, he can quickly receive the communication and rush over. So now that the trouble is solved, it's time to return quickly. For those dead individuals and those alien life, after seeing many tragic scenes of death, Jia Yan felt that he seemed to be completely used to it. Hoo. The giant mosquito's body that covers the sky and the sun almost blocks the sunlight. But compared with its body, the big mosquito at this moment made little movement when flying. This is really a huge change from the previous feeling of flying. This is exactly the flying method that he gradually evolved after understanding a more natural flying method. This method of flying is not just as simple as making the sound smaller. During this period, he can even suppress the power he uses when flying to a minimum. It took about a day of recovery and the use of a lot of nutrient solutions to regain my strength. Now, my need for energy is even stronger. While Jia Yan was flying, he thought about the changes in his body during the day. He was slightly dissatisfied with the speed at which his body recovered energy after the battle. After all, in the past, he had never needed much energy to fight several battles. But now that he has mutated to the starry sky level, he has lost so much strength in just one battle, and even after replenishing a large amount of nutrient solution, he cannot recover in a day. Of course, this is because Jia Yan doesn't understand the bodies of other powerful life forms. If his current recovery ability is known to other starry sky level, those guys may be extremely jealous. You must know that the more powerful the life form, the higher the energy level it requires. On the contrary, if they lose energy, it is extremely difficult to recover. A powerful starry sky level life form often appears on the battlefield. After the battle, the energy level is the situation continued to decrease, and then he was easily killed because he had no fighting power. Jia Yan only regained all his energy in one day, and he didn't know how many starry sky levels he would envy. The dilapidated scenery of Earth City remains unchanged. The big mosquito let out a long sigh in his heart. After circling around Huangzhou, he landed on a giant tree in the center of Huangzhou that was luckily not affected by the war. Beside the giant tree, a beautiful woman was already waiting there. "It's over," Daphne asked softly. "It's over." Jia Yan fell to the ground. Mthe figure was like a hill. In front of the red-haired woman, it seemed that he could crush her to death with just a slight move of his long legs. Of course, this is also the case. Jia Yan's insanely improved combat strength has completely surpassed Dai Funi, and is not on the same level at all. Okay then, if those two research institutes are solved, Jinmo is completely in our hands. Dai Funi took out a piece of equipment and pressed one of the buttons, and then a huge beam of 4 to 6 meters was launched. A light screen appeared in front of both of them. The light screen displayed a map of the entire Golden Desert. At this time, all places marked with forces on the map were either replaced by the flags of the Earth Army or had disappeared from the map. The red-haired woman stroked her red hair that was blown by the breeze, her beautiful eyes flashing. "Then it's time to show our determination. 3 days have passed and 1 day has passed. The next 2 days are the key to success or failure. Mr. Giant Mosquito, are you ready? I hope everyone can come and subscribe to the official version. Thank you." Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 464. The enchanting and beautiful woman raised her eyes to look at Jia Yan. At this time, there was a touch of determination in her eyes. Jia Yan looked at the woman speechlessly, and then he realized that this red-haired woman was actually a very radical person. Okay, since this is your plan, then just follow it. But I still say that, if things cannot be done, I will take you to escape with me. Jia Yan said this calmly. After all, Daphne was his only hope of quickly returning to Earth through gravitational waves. If he didn't protect her, he wouldn't be able to return to Earth before the two empires' exploration ships arrived. After completely occupying the Golden Desert, the Earth army seemed to have temporarily stopped its madness. Of course, no one believed that this force would dare to continue marching into the forest or even those areas controlled by cities. After all, you may encounter patrols from several major warring countries in the forest, and the consequences of such contact will not be the consequences of some local forces. After all, the most powerful ones on this planet are the belligerents. The same is true for invading the territory of several major cities. Although Earth City is crazy, no one thinks that they dare to go head-to-head with the Asta people, the biochemical empire, and the Zerg tribe. That is an act of seeking death. Even if it is a Starry Sky class, the three powerful Starry Sky civilization empires cannot be fought by independent individuals. No one is optimistic about the future fate of Earth City, even within Earth City. The loss of personnel is still continuing, even if new blood has been transported back in the later period, but for Earth City, the plundered personnel behind are simply not suitable for use, and they dare not use it. Within a day, Earth City, which originally had a population of less than 10,000, exploded with members again, reaching a terrifying number of more than 200,000. Of course, 99% of them are attached unwillingly, not to mention attached in good faith. If something happens, the extra 200,000 people might be the first to attack Earth City. However, Daphne and Jia Yan did not want to absorb them. Their actions made onlookers and even Earth City's own senior officials feel a little weird, because they were just taking advantage of these newly acquired populations. Continuously transport and deploy materials. Some of these powerful men, if surrendered. Even though he didn't have much loyalty, he was drafted into the Earth Army. This made many strong men who had experienced the Sheriff's War feel uncomfortable in their hearts. They had fought hard to obtain the status they had fought to the death. Seeing that these newly joined strong men might come to seize it, their status, this matter is unacceptable to them. However, Daphne did not really do such a deviant thing, she just brought in the new powerful ones. He was deployed to the subordinates of the old strong men and gave orders. If the order was not stopped, the old Earth City strong men could kill the new members on their own. As for those powerful life forms that are so powerful that only the giant mosquito itself can suppress them, they can only be placed near the giant mosquito at this time. When war breaks out, they will be suppressed by Jia Yan himself and work for him. It can be said that the current Earth City is not carrying out a long-term plan at all. Everything seems to be completely disordered. The only strong guarantee for this force, that is to say, the sword hanging high above the heads of all living beings, is the supreme leader of the entire Earth City, the assassin, with his incomparable strength. As long as a Starry Sky level being operates well, it is very possible to control the entire power, not to mention that he has Daphne, a woman with outstanding intelligence, as his assistant. You don't need to worry about me so much, as long as you don't leave this Huangzhou. Do whatever you want. Jia Yan lay lazily on the ground. In front of him were a group of strong men with various life forms. These powerful people are generally equivalent to the top 20 powerful beings in the Golden Desert in the past. However, because there were many powerful people hidden in the Golden Desert in the past, these powerful people from the Golden Desert who were invited by Earth City at this time actually reached 17. You must know that Earth City had many powerful people who were equivalent to the top 20 in the Golden Desert before. Adding these to the present, the powerful life forms in the entire Golden Desert were very terrifying. You must know that before the attack on Earth City, about half of the powerful life forms had wisely escaped from the Golden Desert. Sir, I am willing to serve you, but I think this kind of service will only be once. After once, I hope you can let me go free. A stone giant, as big as a hill, made a sound that was similar to metal friction, making an emotionless tone. In fact, this life form had no choice but to speak, because he knew that if he didn't make his voice heard at this moment, he might not have a chance next. Jia Yan raised his head and looked at the sounding stone giant monster without any emotion in his compound eyes. He stared at the monster with horror. When he was about to make a defensive move, Jia Yan didn't care at all and continued to crawl. Come down. Once is not enough. You and I have fought once before. I can understand your concerns. It only takes 5 days. You work hard for me in 5 days. As long as you can survive after 5 days, I will let you go. Jia Yan used his own the power of brainwaves made a loud male voice in the air. It turns out that this stone giant is the 5th strongest man in the Golden Desert, Lord Longliu, who he had fought with before. But in the past, Jia Yan was able to defeat him even though he lost energy. Now, after mutation, this so-called 5th strongest, otherwise, it would be a joke in front of him. Master Longliu does not have a force of his own. Previously, he thought that he could escape the Earth Army's search by hiding under a sand dune. However, God was unfavorable. When Jia Yan rushed to the aid of the Earth Army detachment, at that time, passing over the sand dune where he was, the stone giant was so stupid that he jumped out and ran away. Of course, Jia Yan was not polite and captured him. Not just him, but the rest of you, as long as you want to leave, serve me for 5 days, and then you can stay or go as you like. I will not pursue it, he added. Sir, you won't regret it, another flying monster that looked very similar to a crane asked doubtfully. Other life forms naturally have similar thoughts. After all, as a strong person from the Golden Desert, if they are really willing to submit to others, they would have been able to join the Asta Army or the Biochemical Empire Army. Heaven-level powerful life forms like them can join the army. Is more than enough. Jia Yan glared at the talking crane impatiently. Then he doesn't answer at all. Whether they believe it or not, so what? The crane monster suddenly didn't dare to speak. Although he looked like a crane, his body was more than 10 meters long. Yi's flying speed is one of the best among flying monsters. It was also because Jia Yan's flying speed exceeded him before. This can capture it. The other powerful intelligent beings also didn't dare to ask any questions. They had seen the strength of Lord Assassin with their own eyes. There was a monster before that refused to give in, so the big mosquito stabbed the metal-like monster. There was no reaction at all, and he died directly in front of him. Jia Yan will negotiate terms with them, he just wants these monsters to work more diligently during their service. As for 5 days later? 5 days later he didn't even know if he would die. After all, Earth City has long been the target of public criticism. If they cannot survive this hurdle, what awaits them is nothing more than a pile of loess. There are many people who can understand this, but under the high-pressure control of Earth City today, instead of being executed now, most life forms would choose to die later. Maybe there will be some changes. Everyone, dear viewers. Hello everyone, this is the Battle Report channel on the front line of City No. 5. Deep in the quiet forest, a dilapidated Asta woman showed an unnatural smile to the camera lens in front of her with her blood-stained face. It's evening now, and it's nighttime on the Grey Star. Previously, our film crew encountered an explosion in the battle between the Earth City and the Research Institute. The filming was temporarily interrupted, and 3 members were seriously injured. Now we are 2 kilometers away from the Golden Desert. We will continue to report to you. The beautiful reporter looked haggard, and the impact of the previous explosion was obviously an extremely scary thing for her. However, in view of professionalism, follow-up broadcasts are still being carried out at this time. She began to briefly analyze the current situation, and then stopped the live broadcast with some pain. "How's it going? When will the emergency rescue team arrive?" After the broadcast, the female reporter finally stopped hiding her pain. It turned out that there was extensive swelling in her legs. It was extremely difficult to walk. The other members of the film crew were all injured, and some were even hanging on by a thread. They were carried forward by several stronger bodyguards. "Come on, let's take a break." The reply given now is that we don't want to irritate Earth City. They need to approach from the ground. Let's take a rest here. After all, the forest is a place that Jin Mo can't touch. If you want to come to Earth City, you won't dare to blatantly violate this unwritten clause. The director of the film crew made his own remarks, and then went to set up the camping tent with a few bodyguards. The power of ordinary aliens is still much higher than that of people on Earth. After all, they have gone through an extremely developed technological era, so even ordinary people have undergone countless adjustments and changes in their genes, so at this time none of the wounded in this film crew died quickly. If they were rescued properly, it was still possible to survive. Yes. Earth City does not dare to go into the forest. This is an unwritten treaty. If they dare to violate the prohibition, they will directly fall out with the warring countries. Although now, they have actually fallen out with us Asta people. The female reporter covered her sore feet and waited under a tree. Earth City must not dare to cross the barrier of the forest, she encouraged herself. In the distant sky, the dim main star of the Shoals galaxy gradually set below the horizon. When the last ray of afterglow disappeared in the sky, the Earth became completely dark, especially in the forest, where you could barely see your fingers. A trace of the brilliance of the Shoals star brown dwarf cannot illuminate the depths of the forest covered by layers of tall trees. Such a dark scene made the female reporter, a technological being accustomed to the bustling lights of City 5, feel a little frightened. In the forest, there are sounds of forest life moving from time to time. Although theoretically, there are not too many fatal and harmful wildlife in the gray and yellow star forest, there are no absolutes in the world. The film crew, which had already suffered many injuries, became nervous at this moment. And the film crew right here is in a dark and frightened moment. What they didn't know was that the golden desert and the edge of the forest were just not far away from them. There are life forms and chariots there. He arrived there quietly without making the least noise. All Earth City members, as well as those regular Earth Army members, were extremely confused. They didn't know why Lady Delphine actually launched a general mobilization in the evening. This caused almost the entire Earth City members to come out in full force. They started to come towards the edge of the golden desert here in a steady stream. The entire convoy and walking infantry members can be said to be extremely numerous. All the life forms are confused about the situation at this moment. Even the absolute top people don't know what the situation is now. But everyone knows that this is an extremely grand plan. You can roughly guess this just by seeing the convoy and members walking in the dark with no visible edges. Could it be that Master Assassin and Master Daphne want to attack the venomous snake organization not far from the forest? A noodle man riding in a large vehicle. At this time, he was also constantly thinking that as the absolute top executive in Earth City, his status was also rising, and the number of newly recruited members under his command reached more than 10,000. And his task is not only to command them, but also to take care of these members who are mostly uncoordinated. The team composed of these newly surrendered members was simply useless. Before setting off, Daphne handed him more than 10,000 pieces of simple metal. This was the simple explosion controller in Daphne's body after studying it. A simplified version of the controller was developed later. But Daphne also said that among these controllers, only a few dozen were truly useful, and she had the craftsman rush to make them. Her purpose was to let this thing control more than 10,000 new people. Noodle Man exercised his power very well. Just now, he installed these so-called controllers on those life forms one by one. In fact, it is a small bomb injected into the muscles of a living body. It took hundreds of the original subordinates and took nearly an hour of Earth time to complete the injections one by one. These things will be the most important guarantee for them to obey orders in the future. Defuni also told other senior officials about the same thing, and each of them used this method to transplant the controller bombs to the remaining new life forms. So a reluctantly obedient army of more than 200,000 people was formed. Defuni took great pains to bring them to the edge of the Golden Desert. The convoy was filled with darkness, and an unknown number of members were still following behind. Daphne stood proudly at the front of all the chariots, and behind her was the vast grey-yellow forest area. "Sir, what is our goal?" Such a big move by Earth City cannot be in vain, so although Noodle Man and other senior officials acted according to orders, they still asked in confusion at this time. When Defuni asked this question to her face, the Noodle Man had roughly guessed what Defuni would answer. After all, there is a huge force not far from the Golden Desert, which is the Venomous Snake Organization. It is the largest drug trade there. If Earth City captures those, there will be countless gold and silver. However, the answer he was waiting for was not the one he expected. Defuni's face was solemn. Although there were hundreds of thousands of life forms and tens of thousands of chariots in front of her, she didn't seem to have much confidence. She looked around at the current seniors of Earth City, and she didn't know if the words she said would make these members who were already determined to return want to leave. But even if they wanted to leave, it was impossible. Now that they were on this crazy chariot in Earth City, Jiayan and Defuni would not allow them to leave easily. These two guys are not good men and women at all. After looking around at all her subordinates, Daphne took a deep breath. Her beautiful dark red eyes shined under the starlight. The target this time is city number 5 on the gray-yellow star. You can't refuse. And don't raise any objections. Just obey. If you don't obey the order, death will be the only thing waiting for you. Do you understand? Following Defuni's words, all the Earth City executives heard a strong wind roaring in the sky. At the same time, almost the entire team observed in horror, a terrifying figure, as if the king descended from the distant sky. Big Mosquito. Their star-level leader, Lord Assassin. His arrival showed that Defuni's words were approved by the assassin. In an instant, one of the Earth City senior executives felt cold all over and his hands and feet were trembling. What did they hear? This time, Master Assassin and Master Defuni actually want to set their sights on the 5th city, one of the few big cities in the gray-yellow star. You know, even though city number 5 has lost most of the sheriff's aircraft, it is still not a weak existence. The population alone of such a giant city reaches the terrifying tens of millions. Among them, the average police force system has thousands of people, not to mention some strong men in City 5 itself, and even an extremely complete defense system. Thank you very much for your recommendations, monthly votes, and subscriptions. Special thanks to the book friend The Immortals and Gods Are Shang for your 588 reward. In addition, you voted for 7 updates of 12,000 words bulletin. You said that it really can't be done. 555, if it is 9,000 words, bulletin, you will work hard to give back to everyone. Maybe he can do it, but 12,000 words, it's not that I don't work hard, it's that I really can't do it. Okay, this paragraph it doesn't count. Thank you again for your subscription. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 465. How about asking their Earth City team to attack such a number 5 city? Wouldn't it be quicker to die? You don't need to say anything, just express your stance, go, agree or not go. The big Mosquito stood proudly in front of these Earth City senior officials and made his own oppressive voice. Suddenly, the high-level powerful people in Earth City were speechless, and their hearts were filled with feelings of despair and depression. For them, Earth City was just an organization they had to join reluctantly, and most of them were definitely forced to join at the beginning. It's just that during the previous defense battle of Earth City, they, as strong men, spent a lot of effort in that battle. At that time, they only knew the destiny as best they could. They could not escape during the battle and had to fight to the death. I thought that after finally crossing the life and death line, Earth City would restrain its previous arrogance and gradually enter the darkness. This would be the way to survive on the gray-yellow star. After all, with a starry sky level, they would be able to survive in the gray-yellow star in the future. The prospects cannot be said to be bleak. But I didn't expect that after the battle to defend Earth City, the assassin and Miss Daphne would go even crazier and sweep across the entire Golden Desert. Now they even want to scratch the tail of the tiger in City Number 5. That doesn't mean it's daring, but it's a complete act of seeking death. It's so cold. The weather here changes so fast. The temperature actually drops a lot at night. The beautiful reporter huddled in the corner. At this time, she couldn't imagine how she, who had always been pampered, had fallen to this point. In fact, this woman is the daughter of a high-ranking official in City Number 5. Because she had never accomplished anything before, she worked hard to become a reporter, but she never thought about it. Such a hard and dangerous thing. But it's best that I didn't lose my life. Mr. Torov, who was injured before, is already dead. I'm lucky, she comforted herself. As long as you survive this period, the rescue team will come later. Boom 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 boom. What sound? Suddenly, the beautiful reporter and her colleagues all heard a roaring sound, which resounded in the forest area. Each of them raised their heads in horror. Previously, a wild beast attacked them, which made them all frightened. At this time, something strange happened again. These white-collar workers who did not have much experience in the jungle suddenly became more and more worried. Become frightened. No. This is not a beast, it is the sound of a vehicle. Maybe the rescue team is coming. We are saved. The director is a relatively calm person. He is a monkey-like life form. At this time, he listened carefully to the surroundings. After the sound, he shouted excitedly. The rescue team is here. We are saved. Every member of the camera crew looked ecstatic, including the beautiful reporter. They had gone through a lot of ups and downs at this time, and there was nothing more touching and exciting than being rescued in a desperate situation. No, this is not a rescue. There are too many vehicles. Just when everyone was excited and wanted to run in the direction of the noise, the director, who was listening attentively, screamed again from his monkey mouth. It can be seen that there is a trace of panic on his face. Along with his voice, the living beings only heard the sound coming from not far away, which began to flow continuously, and became more and more like a roaring mountain and a tsunami. Without the director's further explanation, they understood that this could never be a rescue team, because a rescue team couldn't have so many vehicles. So who is it? How is that possible? What kind of force is that actually sends so many vehicles? When the roaring sounds of vehicles became closer and closer, the monkey-headed director turned pale. He threw away his equipment and jumped up to a tree more than 30 meters high. His strength is not surprising to everyone, because among alien life forms, there are naturally many beings with strength that exceeds that of Earthlings. Even the beautiful reporter is far from being comparable to Earthlings in terms of physical strength. All they saw was that the director, who had climbed to the top of the tree crown, had an increasingly frightened look on his face. His eyes almost bulged out when he looked into the distance. Quick! Put out the fire, that's actually Earth City's chariot convoy. Not long after, the director made a leap and landed on the ground again. At this time, his face was even paler, as if he had a different skin color from the red-faced monkeys on Earth. Is it Earth City? Why are they moving out at night, and heading into the forest? What does this crazy force want to do? The beautiful reporter asks strangely. I don't know. They are probably attacking an organization like the Viper organization. But this is our chance. Let's turn off the lights. Pick up the equipment and let's continue the live broadcast. The director made an excited voice. The director felt that his adventure of coming to the Golden Desert for a live broadcast was a combination of disaster and luck, because if the current live broadcast can be done well, Earth City will indeed do some big events later. Then their team will become famous throughout the Grey Star. One professional after another moved very quickly to set up the equipment, and then quietly climbed to a high place, zoomed in on the camera, and started live broadcasting. Dear viewers of City 5, and all residents of the Grey and Yellow Star, good evening. This is the battlefield broadcast of City 5. Not long after, in the clear and melodious voice of the beautiful reporter, another broadcast began. Sir, there seem to be some little bugs over there. Do you want us to go over there and deal with them? In the sky, there were several huge life forms floating quietly. One of the life forms is the stone giant whose surface is covered with countless boulders. Although this monster is not good at flying, it can still catch up with other strong men at normal speed. At this time, he looked into the forest not far away and asked quietly. The target of his inquiry was a super-flying monster with a body size of more than 30 meters. He spread his wings and became even bigger. Compared with those monsters that were also more than 20 meters tall, after he spread his wings, he was almost as big as it can be said to be an extremely terrifying figure that blocks out the sky and the sun. After hearing the inquiry from the stone giant Long Liu, his compound eyes glanced at the forest area over there, then shook his head indifferently and said, "Forget it, our operation is so huge, it is impossible to hide it from those forces, these little don't worry about the trash fish." Yes, the stone giant quickly responded and retreated. The stone giant at this time was the former fifth strongest man in the Golden Desert, Long Wu. After receiving Jia Yan's promise of working hard for 5 days, he was no longer the one who refused to work hard for the Earth City. Compared with the strong man from the Golden Desert, a monster who had never had any power, did not have much resistance to working for the Earth City. At least when it came to saving his life and working hard, he chose the latter. And that huge flying monster is naturally Jia Yan. At this time, there are actually 15 extremely powerful monsters of various types flying around him. Each of these monsters is equivalent to the top 20 most powerful monsters in the Golden Desert. They are extremely powerful, but none of them are really attached to Earth City. Therefore, at this time, the absolute strength of the giant mosquito is needed to overwhelm their existence. Decompress yourself. As for why there were 17 before, but now there are only 15 here, that's because after hearing that the Earth army of the mosquito actually wanted to attack city number 5, 2 monsters suddenly gave up and turned towards the sky. Run for your life. But Jia Yan's speed unfolded in an instant. The 2 monsters running in opposite directions, neither of them escaped within a radius of 20 kilometers, were killed by the giant mosquitoes with their stings. Even taken together, the time it took to kill these 2 monsters did not exceed 2 seconds. Quick. It's incredibly fast. The big mosquito's power this time made all the powerful monsters around it dare not say anything anymore, and they directly accepted all the big mosquito's tasks. There are a lot of tanks in the Earth City convoy, and what may make the live broadcast camera crew feel extremely horrified is that the number they see now is just part of the Earth Army's dispatch. They use their personal power to suppress the entire team under his command was actually dispatched, and there were countless tanks and weapons of all kinds brought in behind. Click, 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 click. In a tank, the little girl with rabbit ears is holding an old-fashioned alien pistol. This is really an extremely ancient thing. It was the self-defense weapon given to the little girl with rabbit ears by her father when she left. It's just something that's better than nothing. Kajia, do you think we will die this time? Lulu held the pistol while holding it. She didn't know whether the pistol could still emit energy. When Lulu checked it before, only the energy liquid inside was left. A tiny bit at the bottom. Next to Lulu is the little boy Kajia. He is holding a spear with an extremely sharp top. The spear at this time is extremely terrifying. Although it is a close-quarters weapon, there is a red arc at the top that is constantly crackling. The crackling sound shows that it is a high-tech weapon. This is a treasure that Kajia picked up from the ground after the previous attack on Earth City. The previous owner did not know which strong man it was. This is the first time he has used it. Don't worry, Lady Daphne has said that she won't let us children go to the battlefield, Kajia said, but he couldn't help but pick up a rag to wipe the gun body, which still exposed his innermost feelings. Not that firm either. The two children, who have had many experiences in the past, know that among some small forces in the Golden Desert, cultivating scouts is a normal method, and some children with unique life forms are also tall and extremely powerful, which is why scouts are popular. Reason. But they didn't know whether Earth City would do this. Otherwise, how could Miss Delphine bring all these children into the war group? Kaga, I want to sing, Lulu suddenly said this. Crazy, Kajia glared at her. He couldn't understand why this rabbit-eared girl who had been with him all the time became more and more fond of singing after mourning the deceased once before. But Lulu didn't care about that. She opened her mouth and sang her own music. This is a soothing song sung by a child's voice. The sound is extremely beautiful. The melodious singing was transmitted from the small car body they were riding in, making the driver in the driver's seat calm down and feel more stable when driving. A child next to her was also looking at Lulu with an expression of obsession. Even Kajia, who had been reluctant to see Lulu singing, felt a little calm. Is that the little girl with rabbit ears singing in the back? Suddenly, in a chariot in front of the vehicle, no one expected that the second most important person in Earth City, the so-called Miss Delphine, was inside it at this time. At this time, I heard Lulu's beautiful childish voice singing, and seemed to enjoy listening to the child's voice without any filth. At the same time, I also heard some sadness in the voice, and I couldn't help but sigh softly. Yes, Lady Daphne, has she disturbed you? Do you want me to order this car to go to the rear? The noodle man was standing next to Daphne. This wise man with a good mind, previously, he was quickly promoted by Daphne and became her right-hand man. There are too few people available in Earth City, and the orders are extremely radical, as if they are seeking death. Therefore, there is a shortage of management talents. It is normal for some chaos to occur at this time. No need, she sings beautifully, don't you think? After this battle, this little girl will be appointed as Earth City's external cultural ambassador. I hope that in the future, her beautiful voice can spread every corner of the starry sky. Daphne shook her head, opening and closing her red lips, expressing her vision for the future of the little girl with rabbit ears. Yes, Noodle Man responded expressionlessly. In fact, what this wise man is thinking is that whether this crisis can be overcome is a question, and he is still thinking about the future? He smiled bitterly in his heart. At this time, even he, a high-ranking person promoted by Firewire, felt that such a crazy move in Earth City was impossible. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, the Earth City group has controlled the entire Golden Desert, and now the forces coming out of the Golden Desert actually came out in full force at this time, which made all the Grey Star forces, got a note. No one knows where this extremely radical force will go. When the huge convoy just started to assemble and drive out of Huangzhou, UN Earth City, this news was discovered by almost all the intelligence personnel of the major forces, and reported it. With the launch of Earth City, this news began to be discovered by more and more forces, and then even ordinary people began to pay attention. This is the frontline battle report. Please pay attention. The scale of Earth City's operations is extremely large, even far greater than before. So what is their purpose? We turn the camera back to the host in the live broadcast room. The beautiful reporter's sullen look did not affect her beauty in front of the camera, and even added a touch of tenderness. After handing the camera back to the host in the live broadcast room, she let out a long sigh of relief. It's so irritating that people are more popular than others. The studio supporters over there, as well as all the bricks, can now be in the high-end studio in City Number 5, blowing warm air, talking about things in the Earth City. She, a live broadcast reporter who has experienced life and death, can only get a little shot here. It's unfair. If Earth City attacks their place, let's see if they will be so spit-stained. Thinking of this, the female reporter almost laughed out loud. Earth City is not a fool. Want to attack City Number 5? How is that possible, unless it is more like seeking death? No. There's something weird about Earth City's marching route. Suddenly, the strange voice of the monkey-faced director reached the ears of this female reporter. Boom 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 boom. The sound of chariots not far away was still endless. The strong men at the front of the convoy, as well as the forklifts, knocked down the trees blocking the front one by one, even those that reached the sky-high level of 100 meters. Giant trees fell to the ground one after another with the cooperation of several forklifts. Then another body similar to a super heavy tank rushed over and completely pushed aside the trees that had fallen on the road ahead, allowing the tanks behind to pass quickly. The scene is a bit like the scene in the popular science fiction movie Avatar in the early years of the Earth. The monkey-faced director looked at the marching route of the Earth Army not far away. At this time, there was a trace of doubt in the eyes of the animal. The direction they are heading is not the direction of the venomous snake organization at all. But on that route, there cannot be forces that require Earth City to use such a powerful combat force to attack. The monkey-faced director was extremely strange at this time. Could it be that the entire Earth City army was dispatched this time, and such a large-scale war was just for a walk in the gray and yellow forest? That direction, because it is the location of City Number 5, there is no way any force can establish a foundation there. After all, it is easy to be wiped out by the city police. Even if you can compete, you will afraid of the major belligerents behind the city. What does it mean for Earth City to march towards there? Suddenly, a cold speculation surged into his mind like a torrent. Impossible. Earth City is. You want to attack City No 5. After director Monkey Face came to this conclusion, even he quickly overturned his guess. After all, this guess is too horrifying. If Earth City was not looking for death, it would not do such a thing. If the strength of this improvised team was 10, then the combat effectiveness after being reluctantly surrendered by force would be, then there are only 5, or even lower. Such an indigenous force, like a hooligan, wants to attack the dignified gray and yellow Star City Number 5. What a joke. The preparation is almost over, the next climax is about to begin. If you find errors in chapter content, please report it and we will fix it as soon as possible. For more exciting content, please pay attention to Novel Network's new domain name. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 466. The monkey-faced director was thinking this in his heart, but as he looked at the Earth City convoy's unwavering movement direction and the increasingly murderous intent revealed, the impossible thoughts in his heart were gradually changing. Small. Although this is an indigenous force, it also has a terrifying army of 200,000. Although it is an indigenous force, it still has a starry sky-level existence. What's more important is that this force has been extremely crazy since it was created by the Assassin Lord. It is really possible for such a crazy force to attack a large city with a population of tens of millions. Crazy. Earth City is crazy. Everyone is crazy. Director Monkey Face was clever and quickly activated the ultra-long-distance communication equipment carried by his team again. This time it was not activated for live broadcast, but to issue his own warning and analysis to certain aspects. Earth City, the assassin, and Miss Delphine are really crazy. To engage in a war that is like risking death and that is absolutely impossible to win, what else is this but crazy? No one knows what they think. The determination has been made now. As for what can be achieved, it depends on the outcome of the next war. Daphne stood in front of the chariot window, looking at the vast scenery of the surrounding gray and yellow woods. Her thoughts were already racing, and she didn't know where she was. Perhaps she was lamenting the vegetation here, or perhaps she was remembering the earth she lived on before, or perhaps she was thinking about the next war. No one knew what she was thinking. But if you know about this woman's existence, you will be impressed by her wisdom. Although it seems that there are still some things that you don't understand about the gray-yellow star, you will always see her progress with every plan and rhetoric. It's just that this time, the plan drawn up by Lady Delphine really goes beyond the word radical. You are simply looking for death. Noodle Man has been following Delphine. He knows the wisdom of this woman best, but he never expected it. It was such a beautiful woman who, after the sheriff teamed up with an Asta warship to invade the Earth City, instead of taking the conventional step of quickly moving the Earth City underground so that those forces could no longer find it, she planned a series of even more crazy actions, the so-called if God wants to kill people, he must first make them crazy. Could it be that he is talking about what Delphine looks like now? Sir, suppose we attack city number 5. The army can really advance to city number 5. What are you going to do? In my opinion, our current combat power cannot even withstand the defensive artillery fire outside the city. He couldn't help but speak. Daphne glanced at him wonderfully, but this glance made the Noodle Man feel as if he had been seen through. His idea of persuading Daphne and the assassin to go underground was seen through. Don't wait for the Noodle Man to have any bad thoughts. Daphne had already answered in a female voice as clear as a warbler, do you think the intelligence officers I sent to major cities in the past were just to spy on intelligence? Now is the time for them to play their role. But their loyalty may be. The Noodle Man was halfway through his words, but suddenly he remembered the small bomb control method that Delphine used for the entire army, and he suddenly fell silent. Daphne, on the other hand, acted as if the subordinate had not said anything and was still looking out the window calmly. Just like Delphine, Jia Yan flies in the sky. You can see the life forms around you looking at you, with fear in their eyes, but with a trace of hatred. After all, the effect obtained through strong suppression is completely unpopular. Jia Yan can know that if he has the chance, the so-called subordinates around him will definitely switch sides and turn their weapons on him as long as they have the opportunity. But all he wants is temporary effectiveness. The decision has been made, and the subsequent success or failure depends on future luck. Earth City is crazy. They are indeed heading towards our city number 5. Quick, notify the major belligerents. At the same time, inform the civilized fleets in the stars and communicate with some major forces. In city number 5, a high-ranking city official finally learned about the movements of Earth City from the information of a famous subordinate. They originally did not believe that Earth City, a place with ordinary indigenous forces, would have the courage attack a large gray-yellow star city. But now the direction of the mighty convoy in Earth City is actually heading towards city number 5. It is impossible for them not to believe it. Earth City's series of actions like a madman surprised everyone on this planet, which although it was a warring planet, had a hint of order. The media in every city, from the initial concern, to the failure of the sheriff's army to unite an Asta warship, there is news about Earth City almost every day. But no news has ever been as scary and eye-catching as this one. No one in this Earth city has ever thought that it would be so bold as to come and attack a government city on a gray-yellow star. Each of the gray-yellow stars learned about Earth city's previous feats through the media. He was able to defeat the coalition forces of the 6 cities of the sheriff. The so-called assassin even had starry-level strength and set up the destruction of an Asta human warships, but they never thought that the Earth army would come to attack the city. This is just like an African armed force on the planet going to the Star-Spangled Banner country to attack the capital of the Star-Spangled Banner country. It is simply unbelievable. Of course, the strength of this armed force is indeed extremely high, but this kind of illegal thing, if they did it, they would become the most evil people in the starry sky. However, the urgent news from the media and the strange sirens that suddenly sounded in City Number 5 all revealed that this indigenous force from the Golden Desert had actually come to attack City Number 5. Military analysts rushed to the news stations in some cities at night to conduct a series of analyses on Earth City's crazy move. Under such circumstances, there are still many analysts who believe that Earth City, the city's sights, are not on City Number 5. They even produced a lot of information to refute those experts who thought Earth City dared to attack City Number 5. But when it gets darker and darker, and the brown dwarf of Shoal's galaxy gradually disappears on the horizon, Earth City is getting closer and closer to City Number 5, marching in a straight line without even a little hesitation. These are the experts who firmly believe that Earth City does not dare to attack the city. Everyone was silent. The Earth Army really wants to attack City 5. Either they are crazy, or the world is crazy. Although I never believed that the Earth City Army would be dispatched and come to attack, the defense system of City Number 5 still persisted in sending alarms, with long whistles, and continuously in the huge cache city. Ring. Some people were already panicking. Most residents of City 5 still believe that it is impossible for Earth City to invade City 5. After all, this city not only has a huge population. There are also matching defense facilities. Although the security team is a little thin, don't forget what kind of place this planet is. This is a warring planet. If the indigenous forces on a warring planet want to overthrow the world, they are violating the prohibition of the warring countries. If Earth City attacks City Number 5, then the warring countries will definitely dispatch real troops. In that case, no matter how powerful Earth City is, it will not have a star level. Those are all dead words. In a battle with the real army of interstellar civilization, a force like Earth City would be absolutely wiped out with a backhand. However, some residents of City 5 who live near the outskirts of the city are still nervous, and some have begun to escape. Earth City is under attack. Run away quickly. It is a force that cannibalizes people without blinking an eye. If they attack, a lot of people here will die. A monster with 4 legs, like a horse on Earth, was constantly walking among the panicked crowds of life forms. A famous resident of City Number 5 heard his words of fear that the world would not be in chaos. After the words were spoken, the panicked attitude of running away with the family became even more nervous. The life form over there. I suspect that you are a spy from Earth City, spreading terrorist remarks. Come with me. Suddenly, several Asta people appeared in front of this horse-like life form with weapons in hand. But this horse-like life form burst out with strong foot power and started to flip. He actually ran into the panicked crowd of alien life forms. Several Asta police officers wanted to pursue them, but several tall, bloated and extremely strong life forms in front of them pretended to be crowded by other life forms, blocking them for a long time until they passed. Among these huge life forms, there is no trace of the horse life form at this moment. One by one, these police officers discovered that there seemed to be something wrong with the huge life forms before, so when they looked back, they were nowhere to be found. This kind of thing keeps happening in the area near the edge of City Number 5. There were even small-scale firefights. Deeds one after another show that Earth City has already had a large number of spies lurking into City Number 5. The scary thing is that the major cities on the gray and yellow stars have always implemented strict admission systems. These life forms definitely did not enter at once. At least it took many days to slowly enter one by one. God knows whether the Earth City is there. A long time ago, I thought of attacking City number 5, so I made such an arrangement. City 5 is starting to get even more chaotic. Although the city has a population of no less than 10 million, how can ordinary residents be the opponents of those strong men who fight to the death in the Golden Desert? You must know that in the starry sky, the powerful levels of life are divided into Earth level, sky level, starry sky level, and even the star level that no one has reached at all. Those strong people who are mixed in the Golden Desert are basically Earth level. The strong ones above level 1, no matter how weak they are, have long been eliminated. In City number 5, although the level of the strong men can be very high, and may not even be lower than the strong men in the entire Golden Desert, but compared to the combat experience and unified command of the strong men in the Golden Desert, there is a lot of difference between them. And each of them has a family, so upon analysis, the fifth city with a population of tens of millions is no more powerful than Earth City. But there was not much time left for this huge city to panic. When the night became more peaceful and a swath of bright stars appeared in the starry sky. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sound of huge tanks leveling the ground reached the front of a guard team outside City number 5 that was already on standby. The earth was trembling, and there was constant roar of engines in the air. Those simple chariots that were ridiculed by most of the wealthy residents of Planet 5 now let out a powerful roar of their own. When their numbers are gathered together, they can still frighten the regular troops. As the ground trembled, the first road opening tank, dozens of meters high, appeared in the eyes of the security forces. Then came the second, then the third. The fourth car. Countless vehicles. It was a moonless night, but under the illumination of the searchlight, the side of City number 5 facing the Golden Desert looked like day. At this time, the chariots appeared one after another, like wild beasts emerging from the forest, with the extremely vast forest behind them. It was their hibernating residence, and now this extremely powerful beast finally walked out of the jungle, exposing his ferocious fangs to the people outside the jungle. Ho 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 ho. Those mechanical roars seemed to really turn into the roars of wild beasts in the dark night, which was extremely terrifying. Don't be afraid, they are just an indigenous team, and experts have analyzed that it is impossible for this team to be united. We have a chance. The garrison team of City number 5 here. However, there are less than 3,000 people who are extremely rare. Among them are brand new Asta people's regular tanks. The advanced level of these tanks is by no means comparable to those tattered tanks in Earth City. 50 or so urgently pulled peace officer aircraft are also suspended in the sky. As the last assets of City number 5, they are now considered to be very well organized, but compared to the aircraft that attacked Earth City before, the personnel and equipment are one level behind, and the combat effectiveness at this time is definitely a big question mark. Woo 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 dash. Not far away, Earth City has also set up an array. Earth Army tanks, like tattered but extremely practical fighting machines, are all arranged neatly here. But it can also be seen that there is too much rawness in this neat posture. Both sides are a complete team. One side does not have much actual combat experience, while the other side is disorganized and has no fighting spirit at all. The result of such a battle really needs to be fought to know who is stronger and who is weaker. But there are too many people in Earth City. A full 200,000 life forms. When the Earth City was still having an endless stream of chariots passing through the road opened by the army in front, heading towards the outside world, the number 5 city guard not far away slowly appeared panicked. The Black Earth City chariot, as well as some powerful life forms, could not get into the chariot at all. Instead, they stood upright with a body of 20 or even 30 meters, stepping towards the earth step by step, attracting the people who wanted to form the formation. Beautiful, generally shorter, just for the warring countries to view the police force. Everyone is in danger, and seems to have no confidence. You know, although the guard team claims to have a lot of heaven-level experts, none of them have much actual combat experience. Even the few that do have it cannot compare with the opponent's Jinmo experts who have experienced hundreds of battles. After all, Earth City is a powerful force that has almost gathered more than one-third of the strongest people in the Golden Desert. Even if it is a motley team, the power at this moment is still extremely terrifying. But in this battle, the guard cannot escape, and the glory of the past cannot be escaped. Boom 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 boom. The sheriff aircraft in the sky seemed to have set up a large formation, forming defenses at different heights in the sky. They knew that the Earth City in front of them had not even seen more than 400 sheriff aircraft from major cities a day ago. The aircraft alliance is a powerful force that can be destroyed. At this time, they do not want to completely annihilate the enemy, but they want to be able to defend city number 5. After all, there is another thing on their side that is more confident, and that is the defensive artillery fire of city number 5. You must know that this is a defense system created by several major warring countries, and its artillery defense capabilities are by no means comparable to other places. Our artillery fire has an absolute advantage. If Earth City dares to come over, we will definitely blow it to ashes. They will only be proven to be nothing more than clowns. A high-ranking official of the police force is wearing a full set of weapons. He is a frogman. His body is covered with muscles. Look for the book. The twisted and strong muscles make him look bigger than other frogmen. Big difference. He looks extremely tall and strong, reaching a height of 2.5 meters. He is also an absolute alternative among frog people. This monster understands that although he himself is also a strong man who has reached the peak of the sky level, facing a real starry sky level is still far from enough. He even feels that he may only be one of the top 3 in the Golden Desert. Just a strong man. In this battlefield, the opponent may have a lot of similar strong men, but he alone is unable to save the situation. So at this time, I just pray that the terrifying artillery defense system in city number 5 can play a defensive role. The enemy is advancing. Suddenly, an observation guard soldier screamed. The senior guard officer's eyes narrowed, and he saw the Earth City army 10 kilometers away, slowly beginning to press towards the side. In order to build the city, city number 5 not only cleared a large area of the city, but also cleared a vast plain around the city. This not only prevents the forest from spreading into the city, but also provides a greater defensive horizon. Therefore, at this moment, the advancement of Earth City, they can clearly see it. Don't fire yet. The distance is not enough. 10 kilometers is still too far. The commander here also felt the urge to open fire, but thinking of the war theory he had learned, he immediately suppressed the noise of the soldiers. At the same time, the commander could only see a burst of darkness pressing out of the sky 10 kilometers away. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 467. P.S. Here is the May Day update. Don't rush to play after reading it. Remember to vote monthly first. From now on, click on the 515 Fan Festival to enjoy double monthly tickets, and other events will give you red envelopes, so you can also take a look. An extremely huge flying monster led a dozen equally huge and tyrannical monsters behind him to the sky above the Earth Army's frontline troops. He was like an unshakable mountain, suspended above the Earth City Army. Not only to frighten the enemy, but also to frighten the undecided subordinates. Is this the so-called Lord Assassin? The Frogman chief made a solemn voice of doubt. In fact, there is no need to answer the question. The figure of the giant mosquito has caused a whirlwind in the entire gray and yellow star recently. His image appears on TV almost every hour. Under such circumstances, As the number 5 city guard, how could you not recognize the captain's frogman? But what you see in the video and what you see in real life are definitely two different things. At this time, the size of the big mosquito and the aura of a strong man that can only be understood but cannot be expressed make this person also a heaven-level person. The peak guard captain felt different from what he saw in the media. The powerful aura of the starry sky level made his expression change dramatically. Jia Yan here simply ignored so many gazes and fears on the battlefield. At this moment, he was just looking at the defense army formed by thousands of life forms on the opposite side. There was not much emotion in his eyes. Compared with the battles he had encountered before, the scenery at this moment was completely out of his crisis range. After all, he had always been alone in the past, and he had always fought in desperate situations. Now he was sitting on an army of 200,000, not to mention that he had grown to a point that he had never dared to imagine before. So, crisis. In Jia Yan's current view, this thing does not pose any danger. No matter what happens, he can still escape by running away. His gaze passed over the almost non-threatening security forces. He looked towards the rear, which was slowly becoming prosperous, city number 5. This is a city with a population of tens of millions, or perhaps around 20 to 30 million people. It can be said to be an extremely huge country. At this time, although there was a touch of panic in the city, it was still bustling with lights and feasting in the dark night. The only thing that is not so harmonious is the scenery. There are huge defensive artillery fires protruding from the ground everywhere in the city. This is too much fire. Even part of it. Jia Yan felt that it could bring him an extremely terrible crisis. After all, this is already a defensive method deployed by Osta's army. Although it may still be a little inferior to the things in the country, it is far more powerful than the defensive artillery fire of the General Golden Desert forces. Jia Yan's eyes narrowed slightly. I hope De Fune's backup plan has already taken effect. Otherwise, just these defensive artillery fires will cause countless casualties to the mob at the moment. The battle still hasn't started. Jia Yan looked at the team of strong men behind him, and suddenly faced the Long martial arts. Long Wuo, you go first in the first line. Together with the ground army, disperse the opponent's guard team. The aircraft in the air will be dealt with by Kaiser, Ji Guo, Stofflin, and Wu Kenduo. I hope they can deal with them. You can both give your best, so go for it. Yes. Several huge bodies shrouded in darkness quickly responded with orders. As for whether there is anything unreasonable in Big Mosquito's order, they didn't think about it anymore. Instead of dying at the hands of the Big Mosquito with no chance of survival, they thought it would be better to fight for a chance to survive in the battle. After all, in this kind of battle, with their strength, they still have a high chance of survival. Whirring. A group of huge monsters are heading towards city number 5. Fly away. Listen everyone, if you want to survive, follow the adults in the sky and attack together. There was also an eloquent life form below. He mobilized the chariots and life forms assigned by De Fune to attack. Suddenly, the combat units below also moved forward neatly. After all, as beings who are constantly fighting in the Golden Desert. Even though these intelligent beings from the Golden Desert are not very strong in individual combat, their ability to use weapons and cooperate is still good. At least when they are not at a disadvantage, they can still maintain a neat military appearance on the surface. Boom 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 boom. The roar of the chariot's original engine carried far away in the dark night. Life forms with knowledge about the Grey Star will know that this is the aircraft belonging to the largest news media channel in the Grey Star. They began to broadcast the battle live from various angles, but after all, the attitude of the Earth Army was unclear, so they did not. Those seeking death approached rashly. The picture was received by thousands of households, and strong figures such as giant mosquitoes kept appearing in each playback device. It seems that the hosts in these aircrafts have suddenly done a lot of homework on the strong men in the Golden Desert. So at this time they are actually able to give fluent and clear explanations. Dear viewers, please see, the dark monster flying in the sky is the assassin as the world calls it. However, through our later investigation, it was found that this assassin's name is still the name of this monster in the sixth world. During the battle pet competition in City Number 1, the name given by the audience, but its real name is still a mystery to this day. The former war pet lovers in City Number 6 may never have imagined that their favorite assassin has now become a giant evil in the Golden Desert, and even threatens the safety of our City No. 5. Now let me introduce to you some of the main strong men on the other side, as well as the comparison of the strength of the two sides. Looking at the broadcast in the media, a tall man seemed to have a hint of impatience in his indifferent expression. Not long after, he gently picked up the metal spear placed at his feet. With the gentle sound of gold and iron, the spear was lifted into his hand. It's not my habit to sit here and watch games. I'll go down and have a look, the man said calmly. But a man in military uniform beside him who looked like an entourage quickly stood up. But sir, we have not been recognized by other interstellar countries. If you appear in City Number 5 at this time, it will definitely be an international issue. Please think twice. That's enough. I understand that you have to take into account the diplomatic strategy, but what if I don't go and take a look at such a battle? It's just a look, and I won't do anything. The tall man ignored the interception of the man in military uniform, and it didn't take long. Just walked out of the room. Next moment, in the vast universe, on top of an extremely huge starship aircraft carrier, the figure of a tall man quickly ran down. He was like a bolt of lightning falling from space, falling with great precision into the vast gray-yellow planet below. The target is clearly the location of the gray-yellow star City Number 5 adjacent to the Golden Desert. At the same time, another place on the gray-yellow star, at least 1,000 kilometers away from planet number 5. There is a war zone demarcated by several major warring countries. A monster with horns on its head moved its extremely strong feet, stepping on the ground like the sound of landslides and earth cracking, and roared towards the outside world. Not long after, this monster flew into the sky. The direction of his body that flashed across like lightning was also the location of City Number 5. Not long after it left, another strange and erratic body also flew into the air. Its huge wings flapped slightly, and it followed the horned monster in front and flew towards the location of City Number 5. However, after its departure, there was another life form that was white and full of strange vigor and beauty. It seemed that it was afraid of attracting attention and secretly walked out of the barracks. After that, she also had excitement in her eyes, and electric sparks crackled in her 3 long horns. Fly towards the sky. This is the reaction of the strong. Leaving them behind, more secret and overt forces, each and every one of them, are like those man-eating beasts that are ready to move, trying to take advantage of the opportunity. In the starry sky of the universe, several 500-meter class battleships, as well as 200-meter class battleships, travel in the vacuum of space. These powerful war machines have flower-like symbols on them. If there are intelligent beings who are familiar with the symbols of the starry sky, they will find that the symbol is the military symbol of the Rulan Empire, which is also considered extremely powerful in the starry sky civilization. Okay, we have been preventing the Asta Empire from using the excuse of the crashed battleship. We have proposed fighting Earth City, but it only takes a few days. If the Asta Empire wants to attack Earth City directly, it's too late to intercept. The back UPS we designed before can all be used. This time, we want to make sure that Daphne and her gravitational wave theory will never fall into the hands of other empires. In the dark starry sky, dozens of warships slowly accelerated their march. Boom. Boom. Boom boom boom. On the outskirts of City Number 5, the muzzles of cannons began to launch their own attacks. A fiery red light weapon originating from the Asta Empire reflected the sky in a blood-red color. The war has begun. The situation is changing. On the earth and in the sky, independent life forms are trapped in life, either because of different ideas, conflicts of interests, or blinded by hatred. At this time, these life forms are all in the flames of war. Among them, the extremely fierce ones are about to fight with each other. Kill. The first artillery fire severely hit a powerful flying monster flying towards Earth City. This monster was like a beetle magnified countless times. His smooth back was covered with armor. At this moment the energy rays on the armor flashed, and the red light bombarded his body and seemed to slide away, collapsing all of a sudden. His body only stagnated for a moment, and then he had no further impact as he charged towards the 50-odd aircraft fleet that had been scraped together in City Number 5. Boom boom boom. Each strong man is covered by artillery fire, and they are even extremely accurate. However, these strong men of Jinmo led by Jia Yan are not ordinary powerful monsters. Just like Long Wuo, they each have their own unique skills. Facing the big monsters, Mosquito may not be extremely powerful, but when faced with other beings, those stunts are definitely unimaginably powerful. In the sky, the battle group was the first to burst into flames. Then came the earth. When the body of the Longwu stone giant charged, the chariots behind the ground were like a tide. They swarmed towards the guard team in City Number 5 and rushed towards them with shouts of killing. One artillery group, fire. At the same time, 3 groups of gunmen, fire. Hit hard. The garrison captain can achieve his status, so he cannot be a complete idiot. It is also extremely lawful to issue a battle signal at this time. After all, in such a war, he does not seek merit but seeks no fault. At least he still understands. What I lack is experience. It is also a good idea to follow the combat methods in the textbook. The security team launched an attack. The artillery fire on the ground was also extremely fierce. Compared with the strong men in the air, not all the tanks on the ground were controlled by strong men, so at the first moment, a tank made an explosion that was unbearable to the artillery fire. Fire shot into the sky, and the chariot hit by the red light shattered into pieces, covering at least 100 meters on the ground. It's all flames. However, except for the chariot that was hit head-on by the red light, the other chariots were even covered in flames. Even being hit by some small-scale artillery fragments had no impact at all, and he still rushed towards the guard's defensive position with great force. Ho ho ho, the stone giants and other powerful men charging in front were definitely the ones who could withstand the most artillery fire from the front. However, Jia Yan chose beings with extremely strong resistance to attack. At this time, his hair turned red. The light shot in their bodies caused negligible damage at most. They activated their most powerful brainwave power to block the attack. What these injuries brought to them was that they became more ferocious and charged even more fiercely. Bang! Just before approaching the guard position, the stone giant Longwu suddenly stepped on the ground, and a terrifying crack appeared on the ground. Although City Number 5 is close to the Golden Desert, the ground here is completely solid, but the stone giant takes a step. It actually caused a terrible gap, and a terrifying rift opened in the ground for a while. After that, these cracks spread quickly and reached the defense position of the guard. Although the stone giant may be bulky and huge, he actually has a good war acumen and used such a method. Want to disintegrate the enemy's defense line? Don't even think about it. On the other side of City Guard Team Number 5, a light of energy flashed in front of the position. After the light flashed, the crack in the ground in front of it actually stopped, without damaging the guard team's defensive position at all. Up! Up! The chariot formation on one side had already attacked the front of the position. The vehicles in front are extremely huge, with a height of more than 20 meters. Their bulky bodies give them terrifying charging capabilities. Boom boom boom. One by one, these bulky guys crashed into the defensive positions of the police. The guard's position is made of extremely strong metal. They use a special metal that is extremely fast to build. It is not only extremely capable of withstanding collision force, but also resistant to burning and water. It also has certain gas defense capabilities. On top of the energy defense module that was urgently set up, the guard's defense position at this time was armed to the teeth. The collision tank hit the defensive position hard, but it was unable to shake the guard position at all. But they were not discouraged, and no one thought it would be so easy to destroy the security positions in City 5. These heavy tanks continued to turn around, trying to launch the next round of collision. After all, as long as it continues, the opponent's defense will always have a limit, and then it will be time to break through the defense. Boom. However, those in the defense formation of the police force were not just those who refused to fight back when being beaten. When the heavy ram tank showed its flaws, violent artillery fire suddenly appeared inside and attacked them. Suddenly there were explosions and the tanks were damaged one by one. Terrifying flames of destruction are spreading everywhere on the ground. Jia Yan was flying in the air, and his body did not seem to be flapping its wings, as if it was suspended in the sky. Combined with the dark night around him, it gave people a strange feeling of shock. It is indeed a regular combat force. City number 5 is not easy to fight, he made this judgment after looking at the first confrontation. The opponent is not extremely strong, but its equipment and organization are much better than those of the Earth Army. Moreover, the people of the Earth Army are unstable, and even now there are some guys who want to escape in the rear. Of course, such a being will end up in a very miserable end. But they will definitely lose. Jia Yan came to the conclusion that it was actually not difficult to see that after all, the opponent's number was too small. Even the aircraft team with absolute advantage was delayed by the absolute power he brought. And it seemed that these 50 aircraft, their elite level cannot be compared with those that attacked Earth City before, so their combat effectiveness is greatly reduced. The only thing that needs to be worried about is the defensive artillery fire in City 5, and then there are the various resistances that may be encountered when attacking the city. However, if there is no established army to resist, then those resistance will not be so difficult to extinguish. Moreover, when they go to the city too, they are not occupying anything at all, and they may not even have too many contacts and battles with the powerful residents in the city. Jia Yan looked at the battle below, and at the same time put his eyes on the chariot where De Funi was behind. The only obstacle now is the city defense artillery fire. As for how to defeat it, it depends on Daphne's backup man. Below the battlefield, Daphne also thought about the issue of artillery fire, but compared to the worries of the Mosquito, she did not have much emotional fluctuations. Perhaps this was the first alien battle she had commanded, but on Earth he didn't know how many wars and battles he had experienced in the past 300 years, so he didn't have many emotional fluctuations at all at this time. Okay, let's inform our backup personnel to start the clearance campaign against the city's artillery system, she said in a female voice that did not contain any emotion. Yes, the noodle man sitting next to this beautiful woman responded with admiration. Only now did he know that Miss Daphne might have already had an idea of attacking city number 5. Not only had she thought through big things, but she had also started making some small plans not knowing how long ago. Happy Labor Day! Thank you for your continued support this time. I hope you can support the 515 Fan Festival Writers Hall of Glory and the general election of works. In addition, there are some red envelope gift packs during the Fan Festival. Get one and continue your subscription. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 468. De Funi's methods. Can't help but admire this noodle man who is also proud of his intelligence. In fact, he didn't know that De Funi was a biochemical person with 300 years of experience. She was the product of the Asta people's peak biochemical technology 300 years ago. After that, due to the rise of the biochemical empire in the starry sky, countless biochemical people surrendered, causing all starry sky civilizations to quickly give up research on biochemical beasts and biochemical humans, so that Dafuni 300 years ago basically represents the pinnacle of biochemical technology that exists today. How could she not have strong wisdom and fighting strength with her experience? After all, age is there. Beep. Noodle Man pressed a red button in the command car. A slight sound began to come out from the device under the button. On the battlefield at this moment, small-scale communication equipment interference has been enabled for a long time. The technological strength of Earth City is simply unable to crack these technologies. Therefore, when Noodle Man presses the button, the short-range communication signal passes through several transfers at once. Bo, after all the troubles, finally arrived somewhere in city number 5. Lady Daphne has sent a signal. Let's take action, the horse-like guy who was constantly spreading rumors in city number 5 now said to some of his subordinates around him. But a life form in the dark showed a trace of hesitation at this moment. Earth City is attacking the city now, do we still want to follow them? They are just seeking death by doing this. We don't have to. Phew. The life form's words suddenly stopped. The horse-like monster activated its brainwave power and crushed its head to pieces. We have done so much for Earth City. If Earth City perishes, we are destined to die. The horse-like life form took the life of one of his men, but did not show any emotion. So if you don't want to do it at this time, it's no longer possible. What's more, how can Master Assassin and Master Daphne do something that has no chance of winning? Stop talking and take action quickly. Don't let me continue to kill you. Everyone looked at the existence of the dead life form in the darkness, and they were all silent. After listening to the words of the horse-like life form, they were silent one by one, and finally followed the order and quickly disappeared into the night. I hope the assassins will not disappoint us. The horse-like life form looked at the mysterious beings disappearing quickly in the dark night and let out a long sigh. The battle outside the city is still going on. Boom boom boom. Powerful red light artillery fires were continuously fired from the deep underground of the city. At this time, a red light was unimaginable and flew up in the air. Then it turned at an angle and bombarded the ground diagonally. No way. Their artillery fire is too powerful, and the guard's defensive position is too difficult to break through. Run away. Several individual life forms who were attacking the Earth City together, each of them were about 5 meters tall. Seeing that the situation was not good, they immediately wanted to run away. Those artillery fires were really terrifying, and the red light from each shot was like a fatal light, strangulating many Earth Army soldiers. Earth City's war legions, which had nearly 20,000 troops and as many as 3,000 tanks, were unable to break through the defense of the number 5 city guard for half a day. Thinking of the large number of armies from warring countries that might be dispatched later, they suddenly felt that their future was extremely bleak. God knows whether the small bombs they used were real. If they were lucky enough to escape, they might still be able to survive. Deserts must die. At the moment when the solace of the powerful life forms about 5 meters high were oiled, a murderous voice came from behind, followed by several sniper rays of light, hitting these monsters with precise shots. These are some extremely powerful sniper weapons seized by Earth City, but at this time, these sniper weapons are not aimed at the enemy, but at their own army. War is so terrible. If the army doesn't fight for you sincerely, it will create a situation where they have to fight. In an instant, more than 100 powerful escaping life forms died under the light of the sniper. There were even 2 tanks trying to escape, but under the light of the sniper, they exploded in an instant and burned fiercely. A huge hole appeared on the ground where they were, showing how terrifying this powerful sniper light was. When a famous temporary combat member of the Earth Army saw this scene, he immediately did not dare to retreat any further. If you retreat you will die. There may be some chance of survival if you attack forward. Suddenly, the members of the Earth Army who had been put to death became more bloody. Of course, there are many people whose morale has become low. It depends on their mentality at this moment. The Earth City side is absolutely unpopular. We will definitely win. The artillery fire from behind is our greatest guarantee of victory. Hold on. Maybe if we hold on for 1 or 2 more attacks, the Earth Army will collapse on its own. In the security team, the Frogman Chief kept making cheering sounds to his men. Although his strength is indeed at the peak of the heaven level, in the face of such a grand war scene, only a starry sky level existence can reverse the war situation. Therefore, at this time, he still stayed in the battle formation to fight for command your subordinates and improve their morale. The moment a guard soldier poked his weapon out of the protective metal, a pale light shot in from the outside and broke his body into several pieces. Carry it down. The alternates will follow, the Frogman Chief shouted. This is the first death of a member of the security team hiding behind the battle formation, and there may be more to come. Therefore, the Frogman commander at this time has no time to mourn for this subordinate. They are the security guards of the city. Team members, it is normal for casualties to occur today. As long as it withstands a few attacks, the next Earth City will definitely be defeated by their artillery bombardment and equipment suppression. At that time, it will be a few casualties in exchange for a big victory. You must know that this is thousands versus tens of thousands. Although there are still immature sheriff aircraft rushing to support them, it is incredible that they can withstand tens of thousands of enemies in front of them. Thanks for the credit. Right? The members of the security team gritted their teeth and attacked at this time. A dead colleague could not shake their determination. After all, if they did not fight at this time, they would die. They still have artillery fire and will definitely win. The members of the security force firmly believe in the suppressive power of their equipment and backup. Not good. A member of the security team who was responsible for observing the battle situation suddenly shouted. What's wrong? The Frogman commander's heart skipped a beat. He was very familiar with this member of the security team who was observing the battle. He was the one with the strongest psychological quality in his team. It was precisely in this way that he could sit in the position of observer. Now that he is shouting like this, something must have happened unexpectedly. This. The Asta observer said something vague with a trembling mouth, and then he yelled out in a hurry. Most of our artillery fire has stopped. How is it possible? The Frogman Chief quickly looked into the observation hole to look at the outside world. Sure enough, most of the artillery fire attacking the Earth Army from the outside world stopped. Only a sparse part is still supporting the attack, but this kind of attack is also gradually decreasing. Command. What's going on? Our artillery support is getting less and less. Do you know what's going on now? The Frogman was also extremely frightened and picked up the wired communication equipment that had been buried on the road long ago. Virus. It's a light brain virus. The bastard Earth City, they have planned it for a long time. These viruses have long been lurking in our various weapons and artillery systems. Now they break out. Although they cannot bring down our system, repairing it at least requires half a day. The answer coming from the communication device immediately stunned the Frogman commander. After that, his body seemed to have lost all its strength. He knelt down and was about to fall to the ground. Earth City actually has the ability to release a photo-brain virus into the artillery system of City No. 5. It's simply too scary, and everything happens at such a critical moment. Who is it? There is definitely an unimaginable person in Earth City. Strategist. The Frogman thought in disbelief that there must be an extremely powerful and intelligent combat commander in Earth City. Even now, he still can't imagine how the other party did it. At this time, his strength was almost completely lost, because he knew that without the support of artillery fire, how could they face the Earth army that was known as a full 200,000 people? What's more, is there a war commander in the Earth army who can come up with such a trick? His momentum suddenly lost, and his performance made the members of the security team vaguely aware of what was going on. Suddenly, the momentum of these members also became decadent. Everyone, listen. The artillery fire in City Number 5 has been stopped by Master De Fune's plan. They are now like tigers that have lost their teeth, and their momentum must have been reduced to the limit. We can let go and attack. Victory must belong to us. On the Earth City side, at least dozens of high-level officials, under the instruction of De Fune, were unable to send short-distance communications to the fighting life forms. These communication sounds seemed to be the most exciting signal. The Earth army burst out with huge excited roars. In fact, they also found that the red light attacks falling from above became sparse. They thought it was number 5. What kind of conspiracy in the city? I didn't expect it to be the strategy used by Mr. Fune. The enemy's artillery fire has been completely lost, so the guard formation of a few thousand people is simply a turtle shell without much offensive ability. Kill. This battle formation is not difficult to break. As long as their defensive energy is consumed, the intruders can be destroyed. Boom boom boom. Chariots began to collide crazily on the outside of the guard formation, causing the members of the guard inside to sway continuously. Earth City has gone crazy. It thought it would be defeated before, but now it sees the hope of victory. Without the enemy's artillery fire, it is impossible to withstand the attack of tens of thousands of their tanks and powerful individual soldiers. A defensive formation of a police force, with a mere 1 kilometer range, blocked the front of City Number 5. A part of the tank team in Earth City had even bypassed them and headed towards City Number 5, which had almost no defense. Go to the city. But if this nail is not pulled out, the Earth army cannot really win, because under the influence of high technology, these battle formations can be attacked and defended. As long as the Earth City dares to bypass them and attack the city, then the battle formation will become the attack formation, together with part of the artillery fire and defenders in the city, cooperated with the inside and outside to trap the Earth army inside and strangle them. But now this is impossible. The Earth army actually used a virus to invade City 5's biggest defense, the powerful defensive artillery system from the Asta people in the city. How could they still win now? City 5 is already on the verge of failure. De Fune did a great job. Just above the main formation of the Earth army, there is still an extremely terrifying number of troops here. At this time, Earth City has only dispatched more than 100,000 troops to the battlefield, and there are still about 100,000 troops left, as well as countless powerful ones. Those who are quietly waiting for the results of the first wave of attacks. After all, the main opponent of the Earth army today is not only City Number 5, but also the support of powerful forces that may come at any time. Jia Yan was also a little nervous. He didn't understand war at all. This was even the first time he had seen such a terrifying war scene. Although he knew that he was already a powerful being that transcended the level of war, but faced with such a grand scene, he still couldn't help but feel nervous. It's a feeling of ecstasy and excitement. At this moment, when he saw De Fune, the backup plan he told himself before was finally activated, facing the most dangerous variables in City Number 5. That is to say, the joint of defense from artillery fire finally became no longer dangerous, and he was relieved in his heart. He knows that those so-called viruses need to be controlled. De Fune used a stupid method. Although she has certain skills, it is impossible to invade a national-level system. So she tried her best to use some of the chess pieces she arranged, and intermittently put some equipment equipped with viruses into the artillery system of City Number 5. She waited until the war was launched today to use those chess pieces. These viruses were artificially activated, and the result was indeed a meritorious service. It seems like just turning off the artillery system, but what is needed is really not simple. It not only tests a conductor's ability to master tactics and techniques, but also tests her ability to grasp people's hearts. Jia Yan knows that what De Funi has done is absolutely excellent. If it were him, he might just use his fighting power to rush in and destroy it with brute force. Of course, it is not impossible for Jia Yan to attack and destroy the opponent's artillery system, but in that case, his energy loss will be huge, and the artillery system is not bundled together, and it is difficult to find, so it may take a lot of effort. In that case, changes will happen later, and the Earth Army does not have that time to delay. When Jia Yan looked at the battle situation below, which was slowly becoming more favorable to the Earth Army, he felt more and more that his determination this time was becoming more and more real, and the moment was almost within reach. Suddenly, a powerful brainwave force appeared around his body. Boom! Jia Yan only felt that his body felt as if his heart was beating hard and his blood was boiling, causing the powerful combat power of his body to soar to its peak. This is the first time this has happened. Jia Yan was extremely horrified in his heart. He felt that his body was extremely afraid of the owner of this brainwave power, so at this moment, his fighting ability exploded. Who? Jia Yan was horrified and instantly raised his head. His gaze glanced towards the night sky. Regarding the brainwave power he felt, none of the powerful life forms around him felt it. It can be seen that the other party's brainwave power control has reached a peak of peaks that even Jia Yan could not imagine. Jia Yan looked around and saw a strong black man stepping on the air above the night sky, wearing a set of pitch black armor. The overall appearance of the armor was streamlined, and the high-tech feeling contained in it was very strong. The metal spear in his hand swayed with a faint dark light in the night. Although it was not high profile, it was so deep that it was scary. This person has a figure equivalent to 2 meters on Earth. His body is strong but not inflexible. Especially that majestic look, looking at the battle group and the big mosquito below, there is a sense of indifference. In fact, he can definitely ignore the current situation. Because this person is one of the few strong men in the entire extremely powerful Asta civilization. The number of wars he has experienced is much more than the number of battles Jia Yan has ever fought, and the number of strong men he has killed is much more than the number of strong men Jia Yan has ever seen. One person can fight the fleet. He is the gunslinger of the Asta Empire, one of the 5 top powers. Dao! How could such a being show any surprise at what it considered to be a petty fight, like a child playing house? He might think it was a waste of energy to show expressions for this level of fighting. The purpose of this strong man coming here is not for those unsatisfactory fighting situations. He has only one goal. Hello, Mr. Assassin. The indifferent man's voice passed through more than 1,000 meters of air and accurately penetrated into Jia Yan's tentacled ears. If you find errors in chapter content, please report it and we will fix it as soon as possible. For more exciting content, please pay attention to Novel Network's new domain name. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 469. The tall figure of the powerful Asta in the sky and the slender spear in his hand all revealed his identity. A flash of shock suddenly flashed in Jia Yanfu's eyes. But he soon regained his composure, at least on the surface. But deep down in his heart, there was already a storm. At this time, Asta Gunslinger, perhaps the true strongest among this gray-yellow star, arrived here. What he would do was something that even Jia Yan could not imagine. Hello, Lord Asta Gunslinger Odao. Jia Yan forced himself to calm down, and then softly spoke his manly voice. Thanks to his recent surge in strength, facing such a high place at this time, it is also able to accurately transmit brainwave power to the other party. As for his brainwave power, although it was obviously a bit too rough when felt by the man above, he was still a strong brainwave powerhouse. The look of surprise in Odao's eyes flashed away. I don't know, Lord Odawa, what are you doing in a small war situation like ours? I guess you don't think much of our little fight. Jia Yan made his own voice, and on the surface, he did not show weakness. The opponent is indeed a powerful man, but Jia Yan is not afraid. He is a monster who has grown up in a short period of time. In this regard, he is indeed no match for the veteran interstellar powerhouse who has far greater combat experience and life experience. But Jia Yan has a lot of back UPS. Not only the blue defense, but also the extremely strong fighting endurance, complete rapid recovery ability, plus his own combat learning ability. Jia Yan has these. It can be said that he is not afraid of any strong person. What's more, Odawa didn't start the war directly at this time. Jia Yan could understand that he might have other concerns, or it was the same as De Funi said, every move of a strong man of this level is related to the interstellar civilization restrictions, so even if it appears on the battlefield, it is impossible to directly attack the Earth army. Lord Assassin, although I am generally not allowed to take action when I come here today, it depends on what you do and whether it is in line with my ideas. If it is my time to take action, I naturally won't care so much. Odawa's voice was indifferent. Standing proudly in the night sky, with his mere 2-meter figure, he seemed to be a towering presence to Jia Yan. Such was his momentum. Jia Yan knew that just comparing his background and real strength, this man was just the power and aura radiated completely overwhelmed him. The strong men of the Earth army around them still did not notice the confrontation between the two. They existed as the pinnacle of the sky level, but in front of the starry sky level, it seemed that they were only one step away, but this step was the difference between heaven and earth. If Jia Yan before the mutation would definitely have the same fate here. Oh! I wonder what kind of situation, Mr. Odawa, would be intolerable to you and would take action. Jia Yan's compound eyes flickered as he looked at the man above him, filled with dangerous light. Even if this man was so powerful that he might not be able to fight him yet, he would still take action when it was time to take action. Odawa's eyes stayed on Jia Yan's huge mosquito body for a long time. As a powerful star-level fighter who fought everywhere, he still couldn't tell the clues of this flying monster based on his experience, so he was a little surprised at this time. However, for a strong person who looks like a starry sky level, but when he actually faces you, he finds that you are just a junior starry sky level powerhouse. There is a look in his eyes that he doesn't take you very seriously. After all, he is one of the 5 strongest men in Asta. The average starry sky class has killed at least dozens of people. How could he be so afraid of an ordinary starry sky class? First point, you can't interfere in the battle below, starry sky level, it will cause too much damage, he said lightly. Although he kept calling Jia Yan his Excellency Assassin, he still showed a strong sense of disdain. Second point, the killing below cannot be too heavy, otherwise I will take action. He continued. Only these 2 points, Jia Yan was a little surprised. This strong man came here and didn't do anything or say anything. He actually didn't ask for the Earth army to retreat, which surprised him. That's right. Just these 2 points, as long as your Earth army relies on its own strength to attack city number 5, then I will not intervene now, but in 2 days at most, I will lead our Asta army, strangle your miscellaneous army, and your excellency yourself directly. Believe me, the Asto army is definitely not comparable to the police forces in city number 5 right now. It's a pity that Lord Odawa will become the enemy, but you don't have to worry about us. If you are not willing to take action, then just accompany me to watch the battle here. I hope that the performance of our Earth army can catch your eye. Jia Yan had countless thoughts in his heart instantly. In fact, he was ready to take action before. After all, city number 5 is a powerful city with a population of tens of millions. There are even many private expert organizations, and the Earth army is missing. His actions may cause you some trouble when encountering some powerful men. But since Odawa, the top powerhouse of the Asta people, is here to accompany him and not take action, then there is nothing he can do about you. After all, if he takes action, Odawa will definitely take action. Jia Yan has not yet the confidence of defeating this strong man head-on, coupled with the victory in city number 5, is related to their next goal, so at this time, they cannot affect each other's troops below. No matter how you look at it, Earth City has the advantage. Okay. Lord Assassin is also a cheerful person. Let's just watch the battle here. After Odawa finished speaking, he stopped talking. He was just floating quietly in the sky. The strong men around him occasionally looked at the sky where he was, but they still didn't find anything different. This Odawa's strength is indeed extraordinary. Jia Yan's heart sank when he saw this scene. Seeing such a powerful person with his own eyes was completely different from what he heard from hearsay. Only then did he realize that his own strength might not be the opponent of this strong person. After all, although the other party did not show extremely strong strength, he came out, but every move he made was filled with an indescribable sense of power. In contrast, Jia Yan thought he was still far from reaching that level. If he hadn't felt that his azure defense and other advantages were still extremely strong, he might have been directly at a disadvantage during the conversation now. Jia Yan's dialogue performance indeed made Odawa, who was in the air, a little confused. This master assassin, during the conversation with me, it was clear that I completely suppressed his brainwave power, but his attitude was still neither humble nor arrogant. For an average strong person, this kind of behavior means that he has the confidence to fight against me. Or you're just pretending, which one is it? After all, Odawa is a person who has experienced hundreds of battles, and his grasp of the enemy's mentality has reached the pinnacle. He immediately analyzed several possibilities based on Jia Yan's appearance at this time. But whether Jia Yan was just pretending, or whether he really had the confidence to fight him, even Odawa couldn't figure it out for a while. If he can take action now, then Odawa will never show mercy. However, this involves a lot of international relations issues, especially for him, a top powerhouse at the national level. If he acts rashly on a warring planet, he will be in trouble in the future. In the world, everyone will become extremely passive, so at this time he must take the overall situation into consideration and cannot launch his own attack before multi-party negotiations are successful. The only way is to suppress the opponent by being present at the scene and see what the future enemy will look like. Although this role had come to him before, it was just a small role that could be easily erased. But now Jia Yan's performance made him have some interesting thoughts. These two powerful life forms actually faced off. And it's not because of restrictions from other civilizations. Even if there are no restrictions from other civilizations, for a starry sky class who doesn't know his roots and is not afraid of his own power, Odawa will still confront him and at least get a feel for the other party's details. If other beings knew that the unknown leader of Earth City, Assassin Sama, could actually confront Odawa, it would be shocking news. The battle below is still going on. Boom boom boom. Bang 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 bang. The Earth City chariots are still charging, and the guards' battle formation now lacks the support of artillery fire, and even the power of the roaring firearms has become more sparse. Some shooting holes were blocked by the soldiers of Earth City using some special substances, and the gun holes were blocked one by one. At this time, more and more of their weapons were misfiring. The battle formation is going to be broken. It's broken. Finally, when a loud shout rang out, accompanied by the excited shouts of the Earth City members and the horrified shouts of the security forces inside the battle formation, the carefully constructed number 5 city battle formation suddenly burst into flames with a frantic shattering sound. There are cracks. Click, click, click. The sound was not very obvious in front of the battle formation, but to the Earth City members who heard it, it was simply the sound of nature. Let me. An individual member of the Earth City who was about 7 meters tall. At this time, he held up his rocket-like weapon and suddenly launched an attack with the weapon in his hand towards the cracked battle formation. Whoosh! A bright pale white light shot out in an instant, and then hit the cracks in the battle formation fiercely. Bang! Sure enough, after the rocket bombardment, a large bright hole appeared in front of a group of life forms. The horrified faces of the horrified members of the number 5 city guard inside were revealed in front of all the Earth City soldiers. The battle formation has been broken, we are sure to win. Charge! A powerful Earth City expert, the first excited man, rushed into the huge gap that was opened. Charge! Behind him were members of Earth City's temporary army who were also showing off their momentum, rushing towards the gap. There were tens of thousands of Earth City members attacking the battle formation. At this time, one by one, each member was heading towards the gap with a disgraced look. They seemed to have forgotten at this time that they were forced to participate in the battle, or rather do they want to use their hard work in exchange for the opportunity to leave this force in the future? Or do they really want to work hard for Earth City and be promoted to a higher status in the future? No one knows the thoughts of these charging members, but they only know that the battle formation of the guard team at this moment. It's definitely over. Ah! Screams continued to be heard from inside the battle formation, and most of them were the screams of temporary members of the Earth Army. However, after a short time, most of the screams turned into the voices of members of the security force. After that, the sounds of guns and explosions inside became sparse. We won. Waves of extremely excited cheers came from there. It was obvious that all the members of the security team inside the battle formation had been killed or injured, or had surrendered. Jia Yan looked at the battle over there. The battle involving tens of thousands of alien life forms definitely stimulated the fighting instinct of men more than the battles of humans on Earth. At this time, the desire to fight was also surging in his heart. But when his sight saw the Asta gunman floating in the sky, his fighting spirit suddenly weakened. He is not a person who is ignorant of the general situation. It would be very ignorant if he ruined the situation that Daphne finally got into now. So there is no movement at this time. This monster is a militant, probably extremely young. What is his origin? Jia Yan may have never imagined that his fighting attitude that he showed inadvertently would be noticed by Odawa, who had been paying attention to him from above. At this time, he could actually analyze through such a small matter. Jia Yan's age and his fighting personality. It's really scary. However, this powerful Asta powerhouse still has no clue about the origin of Jia Yan. After all, Jia Yan's current appearance seems to be different from that of any interstellar civilization creature, although it may be which one. The works of the laboratory, but the powerful life forms prepared in the Starry Sky civilization definitely inherit some traces of this civilization. The origin of this big mosquito has always been something that many forces are wondering about, and Odawa is no exception at this time. Maybe he would never have thought that this huge flying monster would actually come from a place called Earth backward civilizations, even though civilizations still don't know that there are so many interstellar civilizations in the universe. Odawa, you are here too. Suddenly, just when Odawa wanted to continue thinking about the origin of the giant mosquito, suddenly, an extremely terrifying roar came from near its body. This sound also uses the power of brain waves, but the concussive power in it can be said to be an attack. This made Odawa frown severely in the sky. His gaze suddenly shifted from the direction of the big mosquito to the other side of the sky. In the darkness there was an existence even bigger than the giant mosquito and other huge monsters. At the same time, Jia Yan also sensed this brainwave power. Although the other party did not release the brainwave power towards him, but such a powerful brainwave power, even if he could not hear the sound contained in it, he could still clearly perceive it. The terrible implications of this. Who is it again? He shifted his gaze to the huge body. This latecomer is an extremely huge monster. His body has strong 4 legs, and he also has a pair of horn-like horns on his head. When his huge body comes, a large area of the ground below is really, entering a truly dark night. The stars in the sky were completely obscured by him. It's simply unimaginably huge. Jia Yan recognized it at first sight. This monster was actually the supreme commander of the biochemical empire, another major warring country on this planet, and one of the few star-level stars on this planet. Interesting. The war I launched actually attracted the two most powerful men on this planet. If the so-called Zerg starry sky level comes again, then all the starry sky level in the entire gray-yellow star will gather in this small it's on the outskirts of the small fifth city. Jia Yan looked at the huge horned monster, and his originally not so calm mind became turbulent again. At this time, the light in his compound eyes became even brighter. This bullhorn monster is the same as the Asta gunslinger. Just by looking at it, you feel that he is incredibly powerful. The aura of his body is completely different from that of Odawa, although it does not cause the fighting earth below. The city lifeforms noticed it, but it still made them look around from time to time, feeling chilled all over. This level of strength is unimaginably powerful compared to Jia Yan. If he hadn't had a blue defense, he might have chosen to run away when he saw Odawa and the commander of the biochemical empire at this moment. They are also at the starry sky level. Go to Shiyuan and there is a huge gap between the levels. Just as Jia Yan thought about the fact that the Zerg starry sky level had not arrived, he immediately noticed that a huge and light figure was floating and flickering towards the battlefield. It is extremely fast, but it does not seem to be very strenuous, but like Jia Yan, it has mastered the meaning of natural flight. At this time, while moving, he came directly to the horned monster. Huh. You're here too, old friend. I didn't expect you to be interested in my son-in-law. As long as you are here, even if Odawa wants to take action, we can join forces with my son-in-law and beat him to pieces. His mother doesn't even recognize him anymore, ha ha ha. The horned monster noticed the huge flying creature approaching. After being startled, it suddenly made a sound of ecstasy. Jia Yan was also startled. I am very grateful to the book friends who read the pirated version before and later came to make up for the full subscription. Bulletin you only has the support of the book friends who have genuine subscriptions so that he can continue writing. Thank you very much. If you find errors in chapter content, please report it and we will fix it as soon as possible. For more exciting content, please pay attention to Novel Network's new domain name. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 470. Odawa over there is indeed an extremely powerful man. It is said that if this person truly shows his strength, it will be completely earth-shattering. It would be a good choice for the three strong men present to join forces. Jia Yan felt that it was possible for them to join forces. After all, Odawa, one of the 5 powerful men of the Asta Empire, is a being who disrupts the balance in the Grey Star. Of course, if they can join forces, it is what Jia Yan wants. Not only will he be able to fight Odawa, it will also mean that he has the support of the biochemical empire on this gray-yellow star. As for the moth-like starry sky-level monster, I guess it is the so-called Zerg. If it is added, Jia Yan will not need to be so timid in making any decision, but can slowly plan to return to the Earth under the good relationship between the two warring countries. Where can you find such a good thing in the world? Situation. But what does the horned monster mean by son-in-law in his words? He was startled. Ula, your calculation is quite good. Although I'm not afraid, we are destined to not be able to fight today. Odawa looked at the horned monster indifferently. This Asta man, who was far smaller than the several starry sky-level life forms present, seemed not to be afraid of the cooperation of several starry sky-level creatures at this moment, without any fear at all. That's right. That damn war treaty, why do you have to wait a few days to discuss it? I can't wait to join forces with my son-in-law to drive you out of the Grey Star, no. Drive out of the Shoals Galaxy, got it? The bullhorn monster laughed happily, and the world seemed to be shaking. However, with such a sound, the other strong men in the Earth City still did not notice his whereabouts. It was simply miraculous. "I'm sorry, Lord Wula," Jiayan finally couldn't help it. Although he was extremely wary of the three famous starry sky levels in this gray-yellow star, and even hoped that they would continue to bicker and stop paying attention to him, but at this time I couldn't help but speak. Because no matter how he heard it, the son-in-law that the commander of the biochemical empire, the bullhorn monster Ula, seemed to be talking about was him. "Who is the son-in-law you are talking about?" he asked in great surprise. "What? Boy, my daughter is pregnant with your child, shouldn't you be my son-in-law? You know, this is a great thing that countless living beings can't hope for. Do you want to deny it?" The bullhorn monster withdrew its gaze from Odao's body, and its giant eyes the size of several windows were directed towards Jiayan, exuding a strong power of a strong man. Jiayan was suddenly shocked. The son-in-law the other party mentioned was indeed him. What is going on? Could it be that the daughter of a huge bullhorn monster is the diplomat, the white monster that Jiayan has always thought of in his heart? It seems that the last time she saw the white monster, she said that she seemed to have used technology and some means to conceive her own child. Jiayan suddenly didn't know where to complain. The biochemical empire has genes that can easily obtain a living body, and then breed new biochemical beasts. Jiayan has nothing to blame for this, but the other party actually didn't know at which time his genetic genes were transferred. When I got it in my hands, they actually cultivated a new life form. He always thought that what the white life form said before was completely nonsense, but now it seems that what he said is true. And now everyone's father has come to visit. But Jiayan has never even met this white life form several times. Even the few times I saw them, they were almost always hostile, and they even had a big fight. Does this make him a son-in-law? What an international joke. Sir Ula, I have no relationship at all with the former diplomat. She got pregnant through technology and has nothing to do with me. I hope you won't say that I am your son-in-law. Jiayan had no choice but to say this. Although he also wants to embrace the biochemical empire, the current situation is really weird. It may not be a trick of the enemy, not to mention that Jiayan is not sensitive to bestiality and so on. His aesthetics are still those of the human era. That white life form. Let's forget it, such an existence doesn't seem to have the slightest trace of a woman. Jiayan's heart trembled when he thought that the other party wanted him to marry a monster. What? How dare you, a little desert power guy, to despise my own daughter? The bullhorn monster was really angry now. A loud sound like a thunderbolt sounded in the sky, and the monster could no longer hide its figure. In the originally dark night sky, in a haze that seemed to have been ignored by the members of the Earth Army, a huge monster up to 50 meters long appeared from it seems to be directly drilled out of the air. The overwhelming momentum is pressing hard on all the life forms of the Earth City below. You must know that Lord Ula, the bullhorn monster, is the war commander of the biochemical empire on the Grey Star. He has experienced countless wars, and the brainwave power he exudes is also extremely terrifying. This kind of brainwave power contains his murderous intent, which is far beyond what members of a small force like Earth City can resist. There is something in the sky. Isn't this Lord Ula of the biochemical empire? Oh my God, how could Master Ula come here? Isn't it impossible for these big figures from the warring countries to rush to the rescue of City Number 5 so quickly? Escape. Since Ula is here, the biochemical emperor's team is definitely coming. The battle on the ground was originally in full swing. A group of Earth forces broke through a large area of the battle formation of the Number 5 city guards. This battle formation also had certain defensive areas inside, piece by piece. The area was separated, but the Earth City army invaded. They had reached a critical moment. However, they did not expect that at this time, the Earth Army suddenly saw the Supreme Commander of the Biochemical Kingdom above their heads, and chaos suddenly broke out. Some soldiers who had no fighting spirit in their hearts were simply crying like ghosts and howling like wolves at this moment. After seeing Ula's true face, they ran away regardless of their lives. After all, if the biochemical empire intervenes, it is absolutely impossible to win this battle. The small forces on this planet are the ones who truly understand the terrifying existence of the regular army of interstellar civilization. They know that if the biochemical empire team comes here, it will not cost much. Even if there are 200,000 mobs here in Earth City, as long as the opponent sends out an ordinary army of no more than 1,000 life forms, they can definitely beat the crap out of them. In terms of combat experience, individual strength differences, and equipment, the Earth's military is very different. So if you don't run away now, you won't have a chance. Deserts will die. Suddenly, a crisp voice came from the body of the car where Defuni was. Along with this, a sniper light shone, and the body of an Earth Army lifeform that wanted to escape exploded and died under the light. This is Defuni personally holding a sniper rifle and killing a deserter. Don't worry, there is no way that the Biochemical Emperor's team will come. This Lord Ula will definitely not take action, and the Assassin Lord will also solve the matter. You guys should attack me well. If you run away in fear of fighting, you will be killed without mercy. Daphne's voice was transmitted to the ears of all combat units through countless communicators. The Biochemical Emperor's team really won't come. Sure enough, there is no news of the discovery of the Biochemical Emperor's team. Don't be afraid. If it is Ula, he is also a starry sky level. Our assassins will not be afraid of him. Earth City's motley army suddenly regrouped and continued to attack the guard formations one by one. With the appearance of Ula, the giant moth monster continued to appear next to him, and Odawa, the strongest warrior in Asta, appeared on the other side of the sky. The sensation caused by this was so great that the Earth City soldiers almost lost their battle. Meaning, they also know that no matter how good their assassins are, they will not be able to deal with the attacks of so many starry sky-level warriors, and one of them is the Asta Empire, a gun god created through countless wars. The possibility of winning is simply slim. However, due to Defuni's suppression and the fact that the few powerful men who appeared did not attack them, the battle circle below was barely able to prevent a huge rout. Even so, almost all the wars have come to a standstill. After all, no matter how hard they fight to the death below, if the powerful starry sky-level monsters above fight, or cause their armies to appear, the Earth City army will definitely die. Born. If you have the strength to attack, you might as well save your energy so that if something changes later, you can escape. Facing Lord Naula's momentum, and the other two starry sky-level powerhouses who finally did not hide their figures under his influence, Jia Yan faced the pressure of three powerful starry-level sky-level life forms at the same time. This kind of aura is not an ordinary aura. Jia Yan actually didn't believe in the existence of the so-called aura in the past, but after he reached a certain level, he knew that such a thing as the so-called aura existed. When a living body reaches a certain level of strength, it will have a certain impact on the surrounding environment. This is not completely against science. Now he felt three auras that could threaten his life, locking on him from a distance. Lord Ula, but Jia Yan was happy and fearless. He made his own clear brainwave sound, but this sound was still not heard by other living beings. I don't know anything about what you are talking about. You used the biochemical empire's technology to create my genetic genes. It's good that I didn't hold you accountable for this matter. Why are you still using this matter to threaten me now? If biochemical empire the empire is such a domineering country, so why not if I start a war with you? Bola was extremely angry, but at this time, unexpectedly, he did not start a war directly. It seems that the so-called restrictions are also an invisible shackles for such a hot-tempered commander of the biochemical empire. he will not easily fight with Jia Yan at this time. In fact, what Jia Yan didn't know was that the commander of the biochemical empire was worried about another thing. That's what he vaguely guessed, Jia Yan's true identity. This guy is an evolved beast. There are very few such existences in our biochemical empire. In fact, what most other civilizations don't know is that our biochemical empire has 3 real evolved beast masters. I shouldn't be too excited yet. Offend. Woola tried to calm down his anger, although he did not think that it would be an important matter for the biochemical beast to randomly create the genetic genes of other powerful life forms and then cultivate new lives, and he did not think that Jia Yan should follow their biochemical beasts. What does the empire have to do with it? But the important thing is, his daughter, Satsuma Kono, attaches great importance to this matter, because Jia Yan and her genes were combined on the first try, so that this female life form seemed to have some demonic feelings. Thinking it was God's arrangement or something, or even some strange coincidence, he personally implanted the cultivated embryo into his body without his knowing it. Such a thing should not have been allowed in the first place. What's even more abominable is that I shouldn't have let her watch Asta books and movies before. Otherwise, my daughter shouldn't have become like this. In fact, the bullhorn monster also understands Jia Yan's thoughts very well. Who would react like this when meeting an old father-in-law inexplicably? But having reached this point, he couldn't just end it like this. Since you said that, I understand you, so I would like to invite you to visit our biochemical empire's camp. Your relationship can be cultivated slowly. With the backing of our biochemical empire, you don't have to worry about safety. How about it? The horned monster made a roaring sound, but this sound could only be heard by those who have reached a certain level of strength. The weak and powerful people below only heard a thunderous roar of heaven-shattering and earth-shattering, which some nerves could not bear. He fainted in an instant. I've said it before, it's impossible for me to be with her. I've never thought about finding a partner in this life. Please take back your thoughts. It is impossible for Jia Yan to agree to such a thing, even if he does not talk about whether he is willing to accept a biochemical beast as his partner, but suddenly arriving at the biochemical emperor's camp, which is the other party's territory, God knows whether there will be any dangers and the trap is waiting for him. How could he take the risk so easily? You really want to be an enemy of my biochemical empire? The bullhorn monster's eyes flashed with a powerful aura that looked down on all living beings, and it pressed hard on Jia Yan's position. The distance between the two is actually very far, maybe more than 2 kilometers, but for the Starry Sky class, 2 kilometers is already the distance at which the strongest attack can be launched. After all, this kind of existence can reach tens of kilometers in a moment, and 2 kilometers is simply very close. Jia Yan's expression flashed with hesitation. After all, as a powerful life form, at this time, he has enough knowledge of the opponent's strength. He is just a giant mosquito that has just successfully mutated. If he didn't have several confidences such as Azure Defense, he felt that he was invincible to any Starry Sky level creature present. But this kind of thing is simply forcing someone to do something difficult. He said it was okay to show weakness, but if he agreed to go to the other party's military camp out of nowhere, then it would be insensitive to thank him. Although I admire the extremely powerful biochemical empire that confronts all the empires in the entire star field. But if the biochemical empire is such a domineering and unreasonable existence, then I will have nothing to fear even if I go to war with you. I just hope that in the future, your majesty just don't regret it. Jia Yan can't show weakness. As long as they don't take action today, there is still a possibility of success for what De Funi said, and by then, Jia Yan will have even less restrictions. Even if you are defeated, you can still escape easily. Okay. Very good. The horned monster was extremely angry, and sprayed out 2 hot breaths that seemed to contain flames from its nose. Then he turned around, and there came an out of sight, out of mind figure, and quickly left in the direction he came from. In fact, he came here today just to take a look at the so-called starry sky-level powerhouse in Earth City and to verify whether his guess was correct. Now it seems that he feels that his guess is correct, that is, the opponent is indeed a universe. An extremely rare evolved beast. What many interstellar civilizations don't know is that in their biochemical empires, they regard other interstellar forces as poisonous evolved beasts and do the opposite, treating them like treasures. And now there are 3 evolved beasts in the biochemical empire that have reached the starry sky level. His original intention of coming to see Jia Yan today is that if he is sure that the other party is really an evolved beast, then he can invite him to join the biochemical empire. After all, there is an additional evolved beast and it has reached the starry sky level, so what can happen next is foreseeable. Yes, this powerful evolved beast will also become an important combat force of the biochemical empire, just like the other 3. But I didn't expect that after struggling with my daughter's affairs, it would turn out like this. Since the other party is so ignorant, there is nothing wrong even if I kill him in the future. Don't blame me, daughter. The horned monster soared in the sky, as if it was a huge blue giant bull, flying away. However, what all the strong men did not notice was that not far from the battlefield, a white life form also flashed and sadly disappeared into the forest. When you see the horned monster leaving, the giant moth monster from the Zerg tribe, which made no sound from beginning to end, stared at Jia Yan for a long time. His body did not show any emotional fluctuations, but the aura of a powerful man spreading in the air. Jia Yan looked at the Zerg leader, also without any fear. Now that there has been an inexplicable stalemate with the commander of the biochemical empire, the Zerg and the biochemical empire are almost wearing the same pants. They may also be enemies in the future. Naturally, it is impossible to show cowardice at this time. The giant moth's compound eyes had an inexplicable luster, but it didn't look at Jia Yan for long before it gently spread its wings, trembled, and followed the direction of the horned monster, and left in a flash. I may not be writing very well recently, but believe bullet in you, this plot will be over soon. The description of Earth City and urban war is just an excessive plot. Bullet in you knows very well what is the focus of this book. I won't go off topic. Thank you book friends for your support. If you find errors in chapter content, please report it and we will fix it as soon as possible. For more exciting content, please pay attention to Novel Network's new domain name. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bullet in You. Chapter 471. Your Excellency, Mr. Assassin, you are very interesting. You are worthy of being another star-level powerhouse on the gray-yellow star. A hint of teasing flashed across Odao's earthly face, and he uttered such words that left Jia Yan confused. I hope you can do the 2 things you promised me. Odao said this again with a deep look. After that, his strong body also swung the spear. Like a cannonball soaring into the sky, it jumped towards the stars above. In an instant, the 3 starry sky-level powerhouses quickly disappeared from the sight of all living beings. This time, the gathering of the strongest people in the entire gray-yellow star did not involve a battle like a meteor hitting the earth, but it was not very pleasant either. Perhaps for them, the battle has already begun, and the first meeting is just a way to express respect before the battle. In the universe, Odao's body was flying rapidly. The strength of this strong man is simply indescribable. The powerful brainwave power supports his flight, and his speed is even higher than the flying speed of Jia Yan's flying creature. Today's goal has been achieved. I have probably figured out the strength of this starry sky-level monster. Although it may have some back UPS, it is not difficult to suppress it. It's just strange that the commander of the biochemical empire, Ula, had some vague intention of wooing him in the past. This was not just because the other party was a powerful starry sky-level creature, but something else. Odawa fell into thought. But after thinking about it for a short time, his mind was completely relaxed. Why are you thinking so much? This Earth City and the assassin will be annihilated in just a few days. Even if the biochemical empire still refuses to take action, our Asta Empire's small team will be able to completely wipe them out. Destroy. As for the assassin. Thinking of this, a cold look flashed across Odawa's eyes. In the forest area, a huge creature with a pure white body made the sound of running footsteps, running through the leafy woods. This white life is the diplomat who saw the gap between Jia Yan and the bull-horned monster before, and is also the so-called daughter of the bull-horned monster. Her name is Satsuma. She used to be the only daughter of the Minotaur. She was born in the biochemical emperor's camp and grew up to this day. She was not very clear about Jia Yan's attitude towards her, but for this powerful evolved beast, as a female life form that had never had an emotional relationship with the opposite sex, she was curious about the giant mosquito monster in the past. And her constant pursuit became a wonderful feeling for her. In fact, she may not have any feelings of admiration for the mosquito. After all, as Jia Yan said, the two have very little contact, and they are both in a hostile situation. It is simply impossible to have feelings in such a situation. However, after the battle with the big mosquito in city number 6, a trace of the biodetrital tissue left behind by the battle at Sijiayan was actually used by the biological scientists in the military camp, fused with some of her own genetic material, and cultivated after developing embryos that were originally impossible to cultivate. Her thoughts changed somewhat. Many new generations in the biochemical empire are just like the Satsuma niche. They are only cultivated through the genetic material that their parents have only seen. The more powerful the expert, the more difficult it is to cultivate artificial embryos. She even knows that her father is that person. Lord Ula, the commander of the Legion, had never met his mother at all, so he just muddle-headedly cultivated his own white life form with the ability of thunder and lightning. The biochemical empire's approach was a last resort during the most intense wars in the past. Countless biologists were working hard every day to decipher the secrets of genetic factors, and they were stepping up efforts to develop the descendants of powerful life forms every day. However, this seemed to be what the universe had to do. A curse of the strong. The more powerful the being, the harder it is to have heirs. The birth of Satsuma-chan was almost a miracle. She was born less than 30 gray-yellow star years, equivalent to more than 20 years on Earth. Because of her excellent parents' genes, she suddenly reached the terrifying peak of heaven. Even the starry sky level is just around the corner. You must know that this is not easy. Very few descendants of the strong men in the biochemical empire are born, but this does not mean that they do not have their own thoughts. Because of the extreme reduction in war, the biochemical empire has slowly embarked on the path of a normal interstellar civilization, so that some things that were just compromises for war in the past have begun to erupt with different thoughts and opinions among the younger generation. The first ones to bear the brunt are heirs and emotional issues. Young beings like Satsuma Kono are, after all, creatures of flesh and blood, and they also have genders. Many young beings have begun to fall in love and have been united. They want to have love and family ties like other civilized creatures, instead of being like the older generation who were born for fighting and then died for fighting. This kind of life can be achieved in the younger generation of the biochemical empire whose spiritual life is getting richer and richer. It seems that life is simply a joyless life. Satsuma is such a life. When she found out about her genes, it was only after a simple attempt by biologists that she easily combined with the evolved beast monster and gave birth to a healthy child. After having an embryo, she was going crazy with joy. It has always been her dream to have a family similar to the one in the Osto civilization film and television media. Everyday life is not a war, nor is it thinking about how to kill the opponent, but a family getting together, sometimes bickering over some trivial things, working hard for the family life, and then watching the children grow up and growing up with everything they do. Those who love, support each other and grow old together. What a wonderful life that is. But now, Satsuma was feeling bitter in her heart as she kept running in the jungle. This was the first time she experienced this kind of emotion. What does this bitterness and sadness feel like? She knew that she probably didn't have the so-called love in Osta's media for the giant mosquito monster, but she was rejected by him so cruelly. Why did she feel so uncomfortable in her heart? But no matter what, my child is already conceived in my belly. Taking it out now may cause his death, so whether he admits it or not, I will give birth to this child. Even if I raise it myself, you must become his mother. Satsuma thought of the child bitterly in her heart, and finally pulled herself together. She looked at her slightly bulging belly and felt the little life gestating in it. At this time, she felt that this faint feeling of warmth might be the so-called motherly love, right? Tap tap tap. The tall white life form slowly disappeared into the distance in the dark night. When several starry sky-level powerhouses left, the fierce battle between Earth City and City Number 5 became increasingly casual. The Number 5 city guards no longer had the slightest resistance, and each isolated battle area issued a surrender signal. In less than a moment, the entire security team completely gave up resistance. The aircraft in the sky are even more unbearable, because those participating in the battle in Earth City are all the truly powerful people in the Golden Desert who were personally guarded by Jia Yan. Each of these existences is no less than the top 10 strong people in the Golden Desert before. When they participated in the war, they were faced with more than 50 rookie peace officer pilots who lacked experience and equipment. It can be said that they quickly took the initiative in the war. And this kind of initiative, after Jia Yan watched the 3 starry sky-level powerhouses leave, his brainwave power fluctuated, causing all the powerhouses around him to participate in the attack, and it turned into a one-sided defeat of the sheriff's aircraft. In no time, a pile of scattered aircraft wreckage appeared on the ground. Come on. City Number 5 is right in front of us, we are about to win. A well-known member of Earth City saw that all the official resistance forces in City Number 5 were completely destroyed by them. A sense of pride and inexplicable excitement surged into their hearts. They actually moved toward Number 5 without any orders from the rear. The City Number 1 has lost its defensive artillery fire, and the bustling city that seems to have no cover at all. You know, this is one of the huge cities officially recognized by Gray and Yellow Star. They, members of a small force from the Golden Desert, usually have a luxury hope of entering the inner city, but now the legendary prosperous place has become their target of attack, and this target is very likely in the next moment, they were attacked. The strange sense of pleasure made the members of Earth City have a fighting spirit. Although there were not many such people, it was enough. With the leadership of this group of members, monsters that were either similar to humans or various creatures began to attack like crazy. All the monsters believed that they had won at least half of this battle. Come on. Bang 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 bang. Individual intelligent creatures and chariots of different sizes launched a charge towards City Number 5. Jia Yan looked at the battle below and was filled with expectations. After all, at this time, Earth City was unlikely to fail. Even several star-level powerhouses were bound by the war treaty and had to leave this place. He does not intend to violate what he promised Odawa. Firstly, he will not do it himself. Secondly, he will also restrain the members of the Earth Army so as not to cause too much killing in the city. Otherwise, not to mention that Odawa may come down again at any time, but after doing so, more forces may come to strangle Earth City in the future, which will be a big headache. The fighting team of the Earth City Army has reached the edge of City Number 5. The few tanks running in front seem to vaguely see the excitement and noise of singing and dancing in City Number 5. As long as Earth City can take over City Number 5, wouldn't they also be able to enjoy the prosperity there? Thinking of this, the former Jinmo criminals in the tank were all full of expectations. Close. Closer. Boom. Suddenly, Fierce flames appeared in front of these chariots driving in front. That's the attack light of the light weapon. These chariots were unable to defend themselves, and each one rolled over and was blown away. Some of the tanks with weak defenses even disintegrated in mid-air. Jia Yan, who was suspended behind the battle formation, also made a confused sound at this time. Lord Giant Mosquito, that is the civilian fighting force assembled temporarily in City Number 5. It is the peak of 100 heaven level, and the remaining sky level and earth level masters total more than 3,000. From the communicator Jia Yan wore on his head, De Fune's unsurprising voice came. Have you known for a long time that there would be such a force? Can we defeat it? Jia Yan looked at the battlefield over there in confusion. He saw that because there were so many experts in the new army, they were facing the Earth War that had just broken into the edge of City Number 5. Vehicles and individual soldiers caused great damage. This is expected. City Number 5 has a population of tens of millions and is the headquarters of many surrounding forces. It is not strange to be able to gather many strong folk. In fact, this may be just the tip of the iceberg. But we can victorious. Daphne's answer was very straightforward, and she didn't seem to be surprised at the current resistance. The number of people who reported these temporary resistance teams before was so accurate, which shows that she has a terrible grasp of the intelligence in City Number 5. Degree. When Jia Yan thought of this, he no longer worried about anything. He knew that Odawa was originally worried that he would take action at this time. After all, facing more than 100 heaven-level peak powerhouses from City Number 5, the number of peak heaven-level powerhouses in Earth City was even smaller. Duoa was just worried that Jia Yan might wipe them out directly if he took action himself. If Jia Yan doesn't take action, then City Number 5 will have some possibility of counterattack, and Earth City may be directly defeated by this force. However, De Fune had obviously anticipated the situation at this time. Snipers, adjust their energy to the highest level one by one, aim at those peak level enemies, and fire freely. De Fune's cold words came from the communicator. Along with her voice, streaks of fire shot from the distant Earth Army's main formation towards the battlefield. Some of the civil experts in City Number 5 are members of underground forces, and some are powerful leaders of other forces living in the city. Compared with those strong men in Earth City, although these strong men are strong enough, they have less actual combat experience. When more than 100 or 200 sniper beams of light shot from Earth City's main formation, like a rain curtain, towards those heaven-level experts, none of those experts noticed the existence of such a powerful weapon. Perhaps they never imagined that Earth City's punishment weapons for deserters would also be used against the enemy. It was because of De Fune's flexible use of tactics that these powerful men suffered disaster one by one. In an instant, countless fires and explosions sounded. In fact, most of the sniper weapons here in Earth City are composed of individual tanks. Their weapons are of various types, but they have one notable feature, which is that they are extremely accurate, and the energy of each shot is extremely high. The only disadvantage is that most of these weapons cannot fire the next time due to overheating protection in a short period of time. Therefore, in previous wars, most of these weapons were used as sniper firepower. Of course, this kind of weapon is also because of its high price. Even among the forces that have unified the Golden Desert like Earth City, only more than 100 can be found. At this time, more than 100 sniper firepowers of various types formed a team, turning on the maximum energy and firing at the strong enemy over there. It was simply strangely beautiful. Streams of fire shot out in the air, and then streaked across the night sky, like bright fireworks shooting horizontally, making the heaven and earth appear in a colorful and beautiful scene. But what this kind of beauty brings is not something beautiful, but a terrible bloody scene. A strong man from City Number 5, who was famous for his appearance, was hit in the head by Earth City's sniper fire. Generally, the powerful creatures in the starry sky are not too small, so they became the best prey for Earth City's sniper fire. Unprepared, the casualties over there suddenly reached a terrifying level. No. Retreat into the city. Under the cover of the buildings, the effectiveness of their sniper firepower will be greatly reduced, a strong man from city number 5 screamed in horror at this time. Thanks to his command, the other strong men stopped fighting with the Earth City army and retreated one by one towards the main city of number 5 in the rear while fighting. However, in this short period of time, the sniper light emitted by Earth City's main formation killed no less than 20 peak heaven level people over there, and as many as 100 of the remaining heaven level and earth level people. It can be said to be a great achievement in battle. Pursue. Don't let them continue to form an organization, Daphne's voice came from below. Jia Yan watched from the sky as Earth City's chariot team finally crossed the city's outer defensive wire fence and drove into the bustling city with feasting and feasting. We finally invaded the city. Next, it's time to show our determination. He looked over there, a bright light flashing in his eyes. Boom 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 boom. A running creature, carries a heavy gun-type weapon in its 3 arms. His name is Doge, and he is a member of the 3-armed clan. In the past, due to various reasons related to their ancestors, the family became the Golden Desert drug lords passed down from generation to generation in the Golden Desert of the Grey Star. However, because their family has always been running a small force, they live a tight life. Even if Doge becomes a heaven-level powerhouse and has a certain degree of strength, the situation will still not change. City number 5 is an unattainable place for most people in the Golden Desert. It is like a paradise. In the past, he also dreamed of coming to live in the city, but after coming here once, the thought never occurred again. It's not that City 5 is exclusive. In fact, in this city, as long as you have money or power, it is extremely simple to integrate here. After all, this is a warring planet city that only cares about profit. Mobile version, M. If you find errors in chapter content, please report it and we will fix it as soon as possible. For more exciting content, please pay attention to Novel Network's new domain name. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 472. However, a strong man like Doge was not very strong and did not have much money. In this place where money was flowing like water, he could only retreat to the Golden Desert in defeat and become the little leader of his little force. Maybe without the annexation of Earth City, he probably would never return to this place where money is wasted like water. But he didn't expect that he would come back again. And it's coming back in such a way. The entrance to Earth City's invasion of the city was very familiar to Doge. It just so happened that this was the area where he had sneaked into the city through certain means. Seeing the familiar scenery quickly disappearing in the flames of war, he felt a little emotional. The strong men who were resisting in the front were all defeated after being attacked by the Earth Army's sniper fire. As a civilian force, these strong men may have a strong performance in the face of ordinary attacks, but in the face of a large-scale organized war, it is absolutely impossible for these strong folk to perform well. As a former folk strongman, Doge is very aware of the shortcomings of folk strongmen. Come on, he roared and aimed his weapon at a peak civilian heaven-level expert in City number 5. Doge had never dared to imagine that a strong man of this level could defeat him before, but in war, such a thing is absolutely possible. This heaven-level peak powerhouse had been injured by a previous Earth Army sniper attack. There was a clear bullet hole in his body that was more than 10 meters tall. Doc pulled the trigger. Boom. The peak heaven-level strongman on the opposite side couldn't believe that an ordinary heaven-level strongman dared to attack him. He was caught off guard and was hit by a powerful single-person artillery fire fired from a close range by multiple grids. The flames caused by the explosion engulfed half of the street. After waiting for the flames to pass, the strong man turned into a stick of charcoal. A peak-level strong man died just like that. The scope of the war was too wide, and no one applauded Doge's feats, because all the Earth's military were doing similar things under such circumstances. Let alone Doge, a heaven-level creature kills another heaven-level peak, even a member of the prefecture-level Earth city kills a heaven-level peak. It is not something surprising. Boom boom boom. Countless fires burst into flames in the city. Okay. They suppressed these powerful folk. Jia Yan was suspended in the sky. Although he promised not to participate in the war, other Earth City members did not know about this. Even City Number 5 did not understand the agreement between the strong men. At this time, Jia Yan was floating in the sky. For Earth City, it has an extremely strong confidence. Some Earth City soldiers were going crazy at this time. They couldn't figure out whether they were resisting the Earth armies fighting or whether they were starting to enjoy it. At this moment, the fighting situation was completely in favor of the Earth army. These members started fighting. Fighting with the wind, everyone's sense of identification with Earth City becomes more profound. Boom boom boom. Dog in combat. Suddenly, I found that a powerful man at the peak of the heaven level looked very familiar. It didn't take long for him to discover that this injured peak level creature was the Master Rongan who had been exploiting him when he tried to live in City Number 5. You must know that Master Rongan was a big shot with 5,000 subordinates. But at this time, he was still suppressed by the firepower of Earth City just like the other peak heaven level experts. The body is injured. At this moment, the huge Rongan, who was more than 20 meters tall, also spotted Doge's face. The two of them were old acquaintances, but could not be said to be friends. At this time, they met. Dog. Rongan. Thinking of how much he was bullied by Rongan when he was in the city. Old and new grudges surfaced, and Doge abandoned the personal artillery fire in his hand, and struck each other hard with his 3 arms. Sparks sparkled in his fists. This was the effect of his personal weapon arc gloves. The two approached each other in anger, and when they came into contact, they collided hard. Ah! The attacks of the two are simply the most ambitious in this area. Although tanks and individual soldiers in other places are also extremely powerful in attacking those strong men, they all use long-range weapons of the Earth Army. How can it be that these two guys actually started a hand-to-hand fight that looks so good? A group of Earth soldiers advanced here, but after seeing the scene of the battle, they walked around one by one. This is a battle between strong men, and strong men also have dignity. Since that kind of strong man from the Earth Army chooses close combat, it means that this strong man has also become aware. They cannot disturb this strong man's battle. Boom 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 boom. Rongan. Do you remember my friend Jiwoo? He was killed by you. Today I will avenge him. Doge bombarded his own powerful attack, and Rongan was unable to resist it. His body was severely injured, but as a peak heaven level expert, the power of this creature was unquestionable. At this moment, he stretched out a claw and scratched the ground, causing his body to turn around violently. Narrowly dodged Doge's attack. Jiwoo. Isn't he that good for nothing? Not to mention avenging him, you will die here today, Rongan roared after being stunned for a moment. Bang 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 bang. The moment the two strong men fought, cracks appeared in the surrounding buildings. Suddenly, there was a powerful bombing sound, and the houses collapsed. Smoke and dust fell everywhere, and the fight between the two was temporarily unclear to the outside world. However, the loud noise, like Mars hitting the Earth, still continued to resound. When the dust fell to the ground, a tall but shaky figure emerged from the smoke. This figure has 3 arms, and as it staggers, the 3 arms are raised. The surrounding Earth Army soldiers who were watching the battle began to express their excitement and surprise when they saw the figure. Dog's figure emerged from the flames and smoke, his arms raised high, and the grievances over the years had been settled with his own hands. At this moment, he was extremely excited. He raised his hands high to the sky, and beneath his feet was the 20-meter monster lying on the ground. He was also his archenemy Rongan. Long live the Earth Army! Ho 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 ho, Dog finally let out his roar. Long live the Earth Army! Long live Earth City! As if echoing the excitement of this strong man, countless such voices sounded around the battlefield. This sound even resounds constantly in the victorious battlefields. Finally, the entire Earth Army's team that invaded City Number 5 all made such sounds. Long live the Earth Army! Come on! Countless Earth Army soldiers finally fully recognized the fact that they became a member of the Earth Army and a member of Earth City. Ho ho ho! Go ahead! Rush! With an extremely powerful momentum, the Earth Army had never been so powerful before and launched an attack on City Number 5. The strong men gathered by the people were oppressed by the incredible momentum of the Earth Army. Under the suppression of numbers, they fell at the feet of countless Earth Army members. Although it fell down, there will be another team of strong civilians appearing under other names, but these teams have not formed an organization, let alone the determination to fight. In addition, the Earth Army is becoming more and more accustomed to group operations. At this moment, City Number 5, the Great Rout finally began. The Earth Army is too powerful. How could such an army form such a powerful attacking momentum? And the military spirit. What everyone knows is that after Dafuni saw the first-hand video of Doja's strong showdown, the corners of her mouth curled up. After that, almost all tank teams had such a video sent from the top military officials. Some people who are passive and afraid of fighting saw this video, especially the shouts of "Long live the Earth Army" at the end. Especially after this shouting happened around them, the mentality of these members also changed. After all, in such a frontal battle, although the strong man fighting is not a very powerful being, such a character is more real, more capable of touching people's hearts. Their mentality has changed, and they may not be able to surrender immediately, but I believe they will no longer be so passive and fearful. You must know that the Earth Army has a full 200,000 members. Although City Number 5 claims to have a population of tens of millions, most of them still do not have combat effectiveness. Perhaps in terms of the number of strong people, because of the population base, this city far exceeds Earth City, but can they really fight together like an army? Impossible. So at this time, the Earth Army gained momentum in an instant. Even after each strong team fell at their feet, the strong team behind them who wanted to resist finally showed a hint of fear. At this time, those Earth Army intelligence officers who had distributed the news one by one led by that tall horse-like creature, it appeared again, spreading gossip everywhere. The police force was defeated and Earth City is about to invade the city. Even several star-level experts had to retreat under the power of the assassin. This. Hurry up and pack your things and run away. We can't live in this City Number 5 anymore. Earth City will definitely attack us. Countless families have made this judgment, and they have finally changed from the previous mood of watching a monkey acting to one of extreme horror. In fact, anyone with a discerning eye can see that City Number 5 occupies an extremely large area, covering tens of thousands of square kilometers. If the attacks of each organization continue, there will only be a scorched earth here, but it is not that Earth City can attack overnight. Captured. However, the residents of City Number 5, who have never experienced these things, have been frightened to death, and countless residents want to leave this urban area where they live. They all have jobs and a good life, but at this moment, because of the indigenous forces from the countryside, Earth City, they have to leave their hometowns. The resistance in front has weakened a lot in an instant. Maybe the elite resistance force in City Number 5 has completely failed. The Noodle Man sat in the chariot and looked at Daphne. The face that didn't have much expression at first became excited at this time. A small force, even a force that unified the Golden Desert, but in the face of the behemoth of City Number 5, they actually defeated. and this was behind City Number 5, with the support of all the warring countries, and their Earth City actually attacked the city first and defeated City Number 5 head-on. The strongest resistance force has been defeated by them again and again. Although City Number 5 still possesses extremely strong power. But without organization, Noodleman estimates that these forces will never have an impact. If they are willing, if they advance quickly, the city will completely fall under the attack of the Earth Army in up to 7 or 8 days. Such a terrible feat. This can be done under countless adverse conditions. It's something Noodle people couldn't even imagine before. How could one not be excited at this time? But Daphne didn't seem too surprised by this. At least in front of these subordinates, this woman didn't show too many emotions. She just raised the corners of her red lips again, and that thrilling beauty was full of fatal temptation. Okay, you arrange it? The combat team in front should follow my road map and attack forward. Daphne clicked on a holographic image on the electronic screen. This, when seeing this impact picture. The Noodle Man couldn't help but widen his eyes. Daphne took a deep breath before exhaling. Determination. When it comes time to make a decision, how many people will follow depends on luck. In the night sky above their heads, Jia Yan was also holding his head high, looking at the fighting scene in the city not far away. It's time for us to make up our minds. What will these street battles look like? Jia Yan also sighed deeply in his heart. It was at this moment that Earth Army tanks and individual soldiers received the next battle route map from the command vehicle. What? Are you actually attacking there? Impossible. This is seeking death. Oh my God. Lord Assassin and Miss Daphne actually had this idea, but this thing is impossible to accomplish. I don't want to die. One by one, the Earth Army soldiers finally knew that the battles along the way in Earth City continued to expand, constantly devouring the forces. Even before they were completely united, they installed small explosive devices on these creatures one by one. What was the purpose? It turns out that those two adults were doing everything so anxiously for a reason. Their target? It's actually the large spaceport in City Number 5. Crazy. Really crazy. Although Earth City has been acting extremely crazy, at this moment, all the Earth City soldiers felt incredible. Nothing Earth City did was more shocking than when this map was displayed in front of them. They feel crazy. You know, that's a spaceport. If you don't understand the definition of a spaceport, then every intelligent creature on the gray star can clearly tell you that the spaceport was built with funds from all interstellar civilizations that have an interest in the gray star. The spaceport in every city is the most advanced building complex in the city, and it is also the place with the strongest defense in the city. Maybe Earth City can attack City Number 5, but no one thinks Earth City dares to attack City Number 5 spaceport. This is a place that leads to the universe, and even many interstellar civilizations have stationed small space battleships in these ports as their own means of defense. The spaceport is where the real interests of several interstellar civilizations lie. Countless materials that want to leave this planet need to go through their customs and layers of exploitation before they can lead to the universe. Earth City actually wants to attack such a place. Perhaps attacking City Number 5, the spaceport cannot send out forces to help the city because several major interstellar civilizations have not ended the long diplomatic friction. However, if they take the initiative to attack, the meaning will be different. They can use their own power to fight back. Facing the space battleship, can Earth City win? Not to mention, because of the attack on the spaceport, the diplomatic gap between the several major interstellar civilizations that has been lingering will definitely end as soon as possible, and it is very likely that they will all unite to start strangulating this crazy force in Earth City. Crazy. Really crazy. What on earth are Master Assassin and Miss Delphine going to do? At this moment, the members of the Earth Army became even more hesitant. Although they had won one victory after another, After knowing that they were about to attack an extremely powerful target, these beings fell into hesitation again. But Daifuni and Jia Yan will not let them hesitate any longer. There is still a moment before dawn, equivalent to 1 hour on Earth. Try to reach your destination before dawn. Anyone who disobeys military law will die. An extremely tough order was sent to the combat units below. Some soldiers who were accustomed to receiving orders were finally the first to take action and rushed towards the spaceport address sent from the command vehicle. One by one the chariots were launched. The roar seemed to ring in the hearts of the hesitant soldiers. Asshole! If you die, just die. Even if you go back to the Jin desert, you will just be a mouse living in the shadow of the sheriff's aircraft for the rest of your life. Now that you can do such a feat with 2 adults, I'm willing to die. A soldier suddenly let out this roar. His voice made the other soldiers around him tremble. Yes, they are living beings in the Golden Desert. Even if they have peak heaven-level strength, what kind of life do they live on this planet? Aren't you as timid as mice, running around under the attack of the sheriff's aircraft, wondering when the hard life will end? But in the Earth Army, those peace officer aircraft that were so powerful in the past that they wanted to tremble and escape when they saw them fell at their feet one by one. One by one, the powerful creatures in City Number 5 were, under their attack, they became evasive. The following number of words is not included in the charge. I am extremely grateful to the Tianyu book friend for the 1 coin reward. Buletinyu decided to express his thanks tomorrow. As for how much he can write, it depends on Buletinyu's condition, but the minimum limit is 8,000 words. At the same time, thank you to other book friends who have subscribed and rewarded with everyone's support. Buletinyu can work hard to write. Thank you.